Our story takes place at Zhangyang University, where our protagonist, Shen, a second-generation rich kid, steps out of his supercar showing off his wealth in front of everyone. But that's not all. He's also dating the second-year goddess of the university. Onlookers can't believe that he's barely started college and is already in a relationship with a second-year beauty from the flight attendant class. Of course, when you're rich and good-looking, you get first pick when it comes to dating. But Shen doesn't just get first pick, he practically has a monopoly. Tons of first-year goddesses are head over heels for him, while average students like them are destined to spend their university lives single. All the other female students are just looking for a chance to spend time with Shen. After all, who wouldn't want to be the girlfriend of a second-generation rich kid? But unfortunately, Shen's lavish spendthrift lifestyle, envied by everyone, came to an end in his junior year of college. Because of a disastrous event, not only did his family's 3 travel agencies go bankrupt, but they also racked up $1 million in debt. And his friends, who used to call him Big Brother and always surrounded him, stopped even looking at him properly after his family went bankrupt. Just like that, his old fake friends drifted away one by one, shunning him like he was a plague. His parents and sister were crammed into a rented apartment, and he, who used to come to college in a luxury car every day, had to move back into a college dorm, with everything falling apart. Forget about the freedom and carefree days of the past, he didn't even know if he could live a decent life anymore. Then came the moment that broke him further. His girlfriend Zhou broke up with him. She told Shen not to contact her anymore and said she hoped he would find a girl who understood him better. Shen was shocked. He couldn't believe that after 3 years together, she just ended things so coldly. Was she truly that heartless? But Zhou made it clear. There was no love between them. They were only together to satisfy their own needs. She also told Shen to stop calling her Ting ever again. If they ever crossed paths in the future, she hoped they would never see each other again. After saying that, she got into the car of Shen's friend, the one who had come to pick her up, and drove away. Shen smiled and stopped her, telling her to return the designer bags he had bought for her, saying, "I guess you're not using them anymore." Zhou, shocked, asked Shen, "How can you be such a shameless person? Have some dignity. We were together for 3 years and all you gave me were a few lousy bags, and now that we're breaking up you want them back?" Shen kept smiling and replied, "If you can't even return them, can we really call this a proper breakup?" Zhao gritted her teeth in frustration. However, her friend in the car told her not to get angry over something like this. The older man called out, asking Ting to get in the car. Then he turned to Shen and asked if he needed a lift. Shen couldn't believe that the old man called her Ting. She liked it when he said it, but when Shen said it, she got angry. Shen replied that he didn't need a ride, his place was just nearby. The old man told Shen not to take the breakup too seriously and not to worry too much. He even added that for safety's sake, he should drop Shen off himself. Shen was furious, wondering if they thought he was some kind of fool. He told the old man, "My place is close, just a few steps away. Zhou Wanting is a good girl. Please take good care of her in the future. As men, we should give women the best." Then, with a cold smile, he continued, "By the way, let me tell you a few things about Wanting's habits. First, she loves using Okamoto 1 condoms. Second, she doesn't need high-end stockings because the fancy ones aren't as comfortable. And lastly, her favorite outfits in bed are nurse and cop uniforms." The old man's face darkened in anger upon hearing this, and he quickly drove away with Zhou, while Shen stood there, watching them leave, thinking, 77 Zhou Wanting, maybe your choice was the right one. I hope it leads you to a perfect life. Just as he was lost in thought, wondering how to turn his life around, suddenly a system window appeared in front of him. Confused and shocked, Shen wondered if he was on the brink of death or having some sort of mental breakdown. Was that why he was seeing such an illusion? However, the system quickly explained. It was called the Perfect Life System. With this system, if Shen spent money on female partners, he would receive 3 times the amount spent in return. The system then activated a time-limited task and instructed Shen, spend money on a suitably aged member of the opposite sex who has an affinity level over 60 and earn their admiration. If the task is successfully completed, the money spent will be refunded, multiplied by 3. If that person's affinity increases by 3 points during the spending, the refund will be doubled again. However, the spending must come from his own savings or cash, not borrowed or stolen money. Shen was stunned and confused. Was this a joke? A hallucination? How could he suddenly awaken a system like this? Before he could think further, his teacher Li Xiao called out to him from behind. She had heard about Shen's breakup and told him not to stress. It was just a breakup, and it wasn't the end of the world. In moments like this, she said with a smile, there's one phrase guys love to hear the most. If it's over, it's over. The next one will be better. She tried to cheer him up and assured him he would definitely find a girl much better than Joe. Just then, Shen noticed numbers floating above Professor Li's head. It looked like an affinity level. Seeing the glowing numbers and notes hovering around her, Shen realized the perfect life system from a moment ago wasn't a hallucination, it was real. He gave an awkward smile and told Professor Li that he was fine. Seeing him in a better mood, she smiled and said, "By the way, if you thought more about the scholarship I mentioned earlier, I can help you with the application." However, Shen told Professor Li that a few thousand yuan was just a drop in the bucket compared to his family's massive debts, and it would be better to give the scholarship to someone who truly needed it. Professor Li nodded in understanding, but she added, "If you ever face any issues in the future, whether it's about love or anything else, you can come talk to me anytime." After saying that, she began walking back to class. Shen, however, was thinking about using Professor Li for the system's time-limited task. He wanted to find out whether he would really receive a multiplied refund for completing the task. So, he stopped Professor Li and thanked her for caring so much about him. Then, he bought a milk tea and gave it to her. Afterward, he checked his phone. His original balance had been 87 yuan. He'd spent 6 yuan on the milk tea, so he should have had 81 yuan left. But now, he saw he had received an income of 18 yuan, bringing his new balance to 99 yuan. With this, he realized the system's refund really works. As long as Professor Li's affinity towards him stays above 60, he could keep spending on her and continue receiving refunds from the system. Realizing this opportunity, Shin thought, if I play this right, I can pay off all my family's debts. No, my family could even become richer than ever before. I'll be back to my old self, or maybe something even better. However, there was a major problem. His current capital was only 99 yuan. That was far too little, and according to the system's rules, he could only spend money from his own savings or cash to receive a refund. His top priority now was to secure enough startup capital and find the right women with high affinity to spend on, so over the next few days he managed to gather funds. 8,000 yuan in gold bars, 20,000 yuan in personal loans, 21,585 yuan in business loans, plus the original 99 yuan. That brought his total to 49,680. For Yuan Shen decided to use this money to give Professor Li an expensive gift. However, in her eyes, he was still just a poor student from a bankrupt family. If he wanted her to accept such a costly present, he'd have to be careful about how he presented it. So, he bought a handbag worth 39,800 yuan apiece from this year's spring collection. To make it acceptable, he planned to tell her he got it through a knockoff deal so she wouldn't feel pressured or suspicious. Without wasting any time, he headed to Professor Li's apartment. On the way, he couldn't help but worry, what if she already had a partner? Still, pushing aside his hesitation, he knocked on her door. Professor Li opened it, surprised to see Shen standing there. "Shen, what are you doing here?" she asked. Shen immediately noticed that she was cooking and felt a bit awkward. He apologized, saying, "Sorry for bothering you at this time." Then he added sincerely, "Professor Li, you've taken such good care of me over these past 3 years of college. I used to take it for granted, thinking it was just normal. But today I realized just how precious and warm that support really is." He then handed her the bag, saying, "This is just a small token of my gratitude." However, when Professor Li saw the expensive bag, she immediately realized it wasn't cheap. She told Shen, "You don't have to give me anything. As your professor, this is part of my job. It's nothing special. I treat all my students the same. There's really no need for this." But Shen quickly replied, "This bag isn't actually that expensive. I bought it from a knockoff seller. It only cost me 2,000 yuan. Given my family's situation, how could I possibly afford anything more?" He added, "The bag may not be worth much, but it's a token of my gratitude. Please accept it." At that point, Professor Lee realized that refusing the gift would feel like rejecting his feelings outright, and after his recent breakup, she didn't want to hurt him any further. So she accepted the gift. However, she told Shen, "Then I'll return the favor on some holiday or your birthday." Suddenly, the stir-fry she had been cooking began to burn. She rushed back into the kitchen and called out, "Shen, come inside." She then invited him to stay for dinner. This was the perfect opportunity for Shen. He smiled and said, "As long as your boyfriend doesn't mind, I'm happy to stay." After all, he needed to be close to her to raise her affinity level and earn more system refunds. Just then, he received a system notification. 119,400 yuan has been added to your account. Upon seeing this, Shen smiled, thinking, a 39,800 yuan bag. With the triple refund, Shen received 119,400 yuan. After deducting the cost of the bag, he had made nearly 80,000 yuan in profit. It wasn't like he had never spent 80,000 yuan before, but earning it himself was a completely different feeling, and this time, he had done it all on his own. Just as he was lost in thought, Professor Lee came out and told him to sit down and eat. Shen quickly composed himself and asked, "Professor Lee, where's your boyfriend?" Professor Lee looked surprised and replied, "I don't have a boyfriend." Just then, her kitchen apron wouldn't come off properly, and she struggled with the knot. Shen stepped forward to help, but Professor Lee said, "No need, it's fine." Still, Shen smiled and replied, "Don't worry, I'll fix it in a moment." But just as he was helping her, Li Xiao's younger sister, Li Meng, walked in and shouted, "What the heck are you doing?" Startled, Shen quickly pulled his hands back and stammered, "We're not doing anything." Professor Li, trying to defuse the moment, smiled and asked her sister, "Why are you so late today?" Then she introduced her properly to Shen. "This is my little sister Li Meng." Shen awkwardly said hello to her, but Li Meng coldly replied that she wasn't in the mood to chat. Sensing the tension, Shen realized the seriousness of the situation and turned to Professor Lee, saying, "I already ate before coming, so I'll head back to the college now." Professor Lee looked confused and asked, "Just a moment ago it seemed like you were about to sit down and eat. What happened?" Before Shen could respond, Li Meng spoke up and said, "This guy is definitely up to no good." Professor Lee frowned and said, "Don't overthink it, he's just my student." But her younger sister warned her, "He's clearly trying to flirt with you. Be careful." Professor Lee sighed and replied, "Don't be ridiculous. Now come on, let's eat." Meanwhile, as Shen walked away, he was lost in thought. Who should I spend on next? Professor Lee was just a student-teacher relationship, and besides, she wasn't like Zhou Wanting, who only cared about money. Just then, he bumped into his roommate, Lao Huang, who didn't look so good. Shen asked him, "What happened to you?" Lao Huang replied miserably, "My goddess, Fang Minwei went to the movies with that damn Li Hanpeng." Shen immediately remembered Fang Minwei. Fang Minwei, the flower of the sophomore class in international trade, class 20. She was Lao Huang's untouchable goddess. They had never spoken, never interacted, not even once. It was pure, one-sided admiration. When Lao Huang saw the expression on Shen's face, he asked, "What, are you making fun of me now?" But Shen replied, "Don't joke around. I'm serious. She's not someone you should even be looking at." Just then, Shen noticed Fang Minwei and her friend nearby. Lao Huang breathed a sigh of relief when he saw that she had only gone to the movies with Li Zanpeng. They hadn't gone to a hotel or anything more intimate. Seeing Lao Huang like this, Shen couldn't help but worry. Has chasing a girl made you lose your dignity, Lao Huang? How do you expect this to end well? But when Shen looked directly at Fang Minwei, he was shocked. She has principles, and they're even higher than Professor Li's? Fang Minwei's friend spotted Shen and whispered to her, "Hey, isn't that Shen Yuan, the guy who got dumped by his girlfriend?" She remembered how, during basic training at the start of the semester, she had encouraged Minwei to get close to him, maybe even buy him a drink. but now she regretted that advice. Rich guys like him always have bad attitudes, she said. It's understandable if they act arrogantly while they're loaded, but even after his family went bankrupt, he's still as cocky as ever. No wonder his girlfriend dumped him. Meanwhile, Shen was watching Minwei's affinity level, which had been high just moments ago, suddenly start to plummet. He realized, so she really did think highly of me? She could have been a huge asset for generating system profits, but now it's all going down because of what her friend just said? Confused, Shen realized he couldn't just sit back, he had to do something. He asked Lao Huang, if Feng Minwei and I end up together, would that bother you? Lao Huang, aware that Shen wasn't the rich guy with a sports car anymore, looked at him seriously and said, I wouldn't mind, as long as she's not with Li Jianpeng. I don't care who she's with. Upon hearing this, Shen quickly followed Minwei. He was going to give it a shot. He approached Minwei and called her name. Minwei blushed as she looked at Shen, but her friend quickly intervened and asked, What do you want with Minwei? Shen calmly replied, I wanted to ask if she's free tomorrow. I've booked a table at Sing Sushi, and I'd like her to join me. Minwei blushed even harder as her friend asked, Is Shen asking you to have dinner with him? Her friend was surprised because Sing Sushi was a Japanese restaurant with a minimum spend of 1,000 yuan per person. Shen explained, I'm simply inviting her because I want her to help me pick out a birthday gift for my sister. If possible, please let me know by noon tomorrow. After saying that, he started walking back to his dormitory. Minwei, surprised, asked her friend, I just watched a movie with Li Jianpeng and now I'm going to dinner with Shen Wan. Is that okay? Her friend reassured her, It's not wrong. Sing Sushi serves top-notch Japanese food. Shen Yuan might be a bit arrogant, but at least he's handsome. Li Jianpeng only has his family's money. If Shen Yuan's family bounces back, he'll easily surpass Li Jianpeng. Honestly, whether it's Shen or Li Jianpeng, you have nothing to lose by going. It's just dinner and a stroll, nothing serious. Minwei agreed. The next day, Minwei went out with Shen for dinner at Sing Sushi. While eating, she asked Shen, I've heard your family is going through hard times. You don't need to spend this much. Shen reassured her, Don't worry, for such good food, it's worth it. Minwei then asked, Why did you suddenly invite me to dinner? Is it really to help you pick a gift for your sister, or is there something else? Shen nervously replied, Don't overthink it. I've always wanted to invite you to dinner, but I couldn't find the right moment. Minwei was satisfied with that answer, but her affinity level started dropping again. Shen quickly noticed and changed the subject. He said, During basic training, you often bought me drinks and we chatted on WeChat at night. I missed those happy days. Minwei, hearing this, felt her affinity level towards Shen increasing rapidly. Time passed, and 40 minutes later they finished their dinner. Shen paid the bill, 2,774 yuan. As a result, Minwei's affinity level for Shen increased dramatically. She couldn't believe that my monthly budget is only 3,000 yuan, and this meal we just had is nearly a month's worth of her expenses. Meanwhile, Li Jianpeng, when they went to the movies, arrogantly said they should first eat at the school cafeteria and dine out next time. Even though his family has money, he's so stingy. Just then, a system notification appeared in front of Shen. He triggered a time-limited task, spend on a person of the opposite sex with an affinity level over 60 and win their admiration. If Shen successfully completes the task, the amount spent on the opposite sex will be refunded to him, multiplied by 3. For every 3-point increase in affinity, the refund will be doubled. Shen noticed Minwei's affinity level increasing, and that feeling of earning 10,000 yuan from just one meal was incredible for him. Meanwhile, Minwei was genuinely happy. The more she looked at Shen, the more she liked him. She didn't care if it was the power of money. She grabbed Shen's hand and told him to go to the mall to pick out a gift for his sister. Shen noticed Zhou Wanting and her new boyfriend. Zhou looked at him and couldn't believe it. They just broke up yesterday and he's already out with someone new? Her boyfriend was frustrated, unable to believe how a poor student like him could spend money in a place like this. Meanwhile, he, an exploited worker, had to buy so many bags just to win Zhou Wanting over, and this guy, with all his debts, still has girls with him? It was infuriating. Seeing Zhou Wanting's expression again, he suggested they should go to other stores first. Zhou Wanting's new boyfriend saw this as an opportunity to humiliate Shen and told him, "Since you're here, why don't you go in and take a look? After all, window shopping costs nothing." Shen, unfazed, told him that it was just a coincidence. He came here to shop for a gift for his sister. Zhu Wanting's boyfriend laughed at him and said, "You should hit the wholesale market for gifts, not here where you can't even afford anything." Zhao Wenting approached Manhwa and warned her that she shouldn't come into his shop. He wasn't a second-generation rich guy anymore. He was just a poor student now. Shen intervened and told Zhou Wanting that he never fooled anyone, so she should stop talking nonsense. However, Zhou Wanting's boyfriend approached Shen and told him that he shouldn't speak to Wanting like that. A man should have class. Besides, Wanting was his ex, and everyone knew his family situation, bankrupt and in debt, so he didn't need to pretend he was rich. Shen, frustrated, couldn't believe how disgusting the two of them were. They were really made for each other. Just then, Shen triggered another time-limited task. The system asked Shen to spend on a person of the opposite sex with an affinity level over 60, and raise others' negative emotion levels rise due to the host. For every 5-point increase the spending on the opposite sex is doubled, this task could also be combined with a refund for spending on the opposite sex. Shen smiled, unable to believe the system had given him this opportunity. At first, Shen thought of giving them some dignity and not embarrassing them in public, but since the two of them insisted on meddling, now that the system had issued a task, there was no reason not to act. He grabbed Minhui's hand and went inside. The black-haired salesgirl told another girl sitting beside her to take care of Shen Yuan, who used to be a regular customer. The girl didn't agree with her and wondered, what's the point of serving a bankrupt ex-rich guy? Last time that fake socialite came in, she ended up running around and just sampled things without buying. I don't want to do that again. Just then, Zhou Wanting decided to buy a luxury bag and asked her boyfriend June to pay for it. She even showed it to Shen. The black-haired salesgirl quickly saw this as an opportunity and rushed over to Zhou Wanting. Meanwhile, another girl, frustrated, couldn't believe it. Quality customers who make steady purchases were being taken care of by her, while the problematic ones who don't buy were left for her. How unfair. The salesgirls praised Zhou Wanting for her excellent taste, while Shen told Minhui not to worry about money and to buy whatever she thought was good. Minhui showed an excellent and pretty bag that his sister would love. However, the salesgirl standing beside them told Shen that together the items cost over 50,000 yuan, which was pretty expensive for someone whose family went bankrupt. Meanwhile, Zhou Wanting's boyfriend June nervously thought that a 20,000 yuan bag would be enough, but she wanted a full set for 100,000 yuan. Zhou Wanting whispered in his ear, telling him to pay up and show his strength as a boyfriend in front of Shun Yuan. However, brother June didn't have that much money on his card. On the other hand, Shen told the salesgirl that he wanted both bags, as well as the accessories the other salesgirl had recommended. Upon hearing this, Zhou Wanting and her boyfriend were shocked, but so were Minhui and the salesgirl, who had thought Shen was broke. The salesgirl nervously calculated the amount and told Shen his total was 131,000 yuan. Shen smiled, thinking that right after the food refund, he had exactly that amount. He handed over his card and paid the full amount. The salesgirl, filled with disbelief, couldn't believe it. She had thought it would be a waste of time, but not only did he buy 2 bags, he also added a set of accessories. One sale had exceeded 230,000 yuan. She didn't expect Mr. Shen to be even more generous and carefree than before. Zhou Wanting furiously shouted at Shen and asked him where he got all that money. Wasn't he supposed to be bankrupt? Her boyfriend also asked Shen if he took out a loan just to show off in front of them. However, Shen told Zhou Wanting to think whatever she wanted and advised her boyfriend to buy another bag for Zhou Wanting. It only costs a bit over 20,000 yuan, which is nothing for someone who drives a luxury car that costs at least 600,000 or 700,000 yuan, so he wouldn't mind spending a bit more. Zhou Wanting looked at her boyfriend June and told him to show his power. This argumentative brat shouldn't let him look down on them. However, brother June's luxury car was bought with a loan, but he couldn't tell Wanting this as it would hit a sore spot. So he pretended to get an important call and tried to slip away from the situation. Furious, Zhao Wanting looked at Shen angrily and told him to take care of himself. Meanwhile, the negative emotion points for the system task that Shen received had already hit the target. It wasn't worth arguing with them anymore. What mattered was that the task was done. Shen gave one of the luxury bags he bought to Minhui. However, she refused to take it, telling him that it was too expensive and she couldn't accept it. But Shen told her it was nothing, just a bag. She had to put up with those nasty comments, so this was his way of apologizing. After Shen insisted, she finally accepted it. He also gave her all the other items. Minhui, confused, asked him if these weren't for his sister. Shen made an excuse, telling her he didn't think his sister would like them, but he knew at least this bag was something she would like. And of course, if he bought it for his sister, Shen Xuan, she would definitely scold him for splurging and then tell their parents. From the start, these two bags were meant for her. He told Minhui to take them so he could get the refund. Minhui blushed, thinking that one bag was already too much, and now the whole set? Wouldn't it give her a bad impression that she's a gold digger? However, Shen reassured her not to worry too much. This was just the beginning. They had plenty of time ahead. After being pressured by Shen, she finally accepted everything. As she accepted his gifts, the system congratulated Shen for completing the limited time task. This task generated 15 negative emotion points, which would triple the amount spent. Additionally, combined with the refund for expenses on the opposite sex, the total refund is 6 times the amount spent, and he received 786,000 yuan in his bank account. He grabbed Minhui's hand, thinking, Minhui is now my money tree. I have to take good care of her. I can't let her affinity level drop like before. He told Minhui, let's head back to school. It's getting late. Even though he wanted to spend more time with her, he knew these things shouldn't be forced. It was better to let them flow naturally. Sometime later at the boys' dormitory, when Shen was going back to his room, he bumped into Li Zanpeng, who was telling his friend about Minhui. His friend was asking him to celebrate and treat them to dinner. Li Zanpeng agreed and decided to invite the whole class and throw a huge party to make Shen jealous. However, Shen didn't care. He didn't argue with him and decided to go back to his room. At his room, his friend told him the whole situation. That damned Li Zanpeng, after watching a movie with the campus flower, wants the whole school to know and is inviting the whole class for a party, but Shen told his friend not to worry, telling him that Minhui wouldn't be with him. However, Shen's friend told him to stop showing off. He pointed out that Minhui went to the movies with him last night, and who knows if they did more than that. Besides, she didn't agree to go out with him today either, which means she's really with Li Zian. Shen remained silent. He didn't care. He knew Minhui wouldn't be with Li Zianpeng. Right now, he had more than enough money. So, he decided to visit his home. The next day, at Shen Yuan's house, Shen's uncle, Yao De, came to meet with his parents. Shen's dad told him to wait as they were talking with his uncle. Shen's uncle came to get his money back from Shen's parents. After hearing that his family had gone bankrupt, he told them that he needed the amount in the coming days to cover his expenses. Shen's mother, furious, reminded Shen's uncle that when he didn't have enough money to open that car wash, they had lent him 300,000 yuan. They didn't even pressure him after lending it. But now, they had just taken 200,000 yuan from him because of family problems, and he kept pressuring them over and over. However, Shen's father stopped his wife, telling her that maybe his brother had his own difficulties. But Shen's mother argued, telling Shen's father that she had asked his wife about this, and she said they didn't have any urgent expenses these days. Shen's uncle argued back, telling Shen's mother that paying off debts is natural. Luckily, we are family and can talk calmly, he said. If we were strangers, you would have seen what aggressive debt collection looks like. Shen's mother was furious. I can't believe he's even threatening to collect violently, my God. And we were so kind to someone like him before. Shen's father stopped her and told her to get the gold jewelry she had, find it, and sell it to pay off the family debt. Because of this whole situation, Shen triggered a time-limited task, pay off family or personal debts. If he completed this task, the amount paid in debts would be refunded to him, multiplied by 2. The first time he paid 200,000 yuan, he would get 1 million yuan for exclusive car expenses. Shen was surprised and couldn't believe this task came at the perfect time. Even if there wasn't a task, he had planned to help ease the family's burden today. Meanwhile, Shen's mother gave all the jewelry Shen's father had given her. No matter how hard it was, she had never sold them. Although they were only worth a few thousand yuan, they were priceless to him. But when they looked carefully, they noticed that 2 gold rings were missing. They wondered if they got lost during the move. Shen, who had been listening to their conversation from behind the door, felt embarrassed because in his first year of college, when he didn't have enough money to buy Zhou wanting a bag, he went into his mom's room and sold the 2 gold rings. Back then, he was such a lousy kid. He opened the door and told his mom and dad that he had the money. His mom and dad didn't believe him and asked him not to joke around, reminding him of the situation at home today. They told him to use that money to top up the cafeteria card. However, Shen told them he was serious and to prove it, transferred some of the money to his father's account. When his father and mother saw the 200,000 yuan he had transferred, they were shocked and asked Shen where he had gotten all that money. Shen made an excuse, telling his parents that he used to get a good allowance, so he invested it in cryptocurrencies with a friend, who told him not to touch it, that it had huge growth potential. When he saw his money had increased tenfold, he cashed it out recently. Of course, he couldn't tell his parents that he had a system that gave him a refund when he spent money on girls. His parents believed his words and were really happy. With this amount of money, they could pay off the debt and get rid of that problem. After that, his parents paid his uncle's debt, and his mother told Shen's uncle to leave. In the future, it would be better if their families didn't have so much contact. Shen's uncle, after seeing the situation, tried to calm things down, but Shen's mother, furious, told him to get out of her house. Qin's uncle, confused, thought that his cousin owed almost 100 million yuan. He believed that the longer time passed, the less money he'd have, so he came to collect as soon as possible. However, he didn't expect them to pay everything so quickly. He wondered if his cousin's family had a new business that was making profits. Would they prosper again? But with what he did today, it seemed they wouldn't be able to get along in the future. Meanwhile, after completing the system task, Shen received his reward. He received 400,000 yuan and an additional 1 million yuan, totaling 2,186,356 yuan. Shen smiled, thinking that, excluding the 1 million yuan for buying a car, his net worth had already exceeded 1 million. He never expected that by coming home, not only would he help his parents in a critical moment, but he would also receive such a huge reward. However, he knew that to completely settle the family debts, there was still a long way to go. So, even if he gave all this money to his dad, it wouldn't be enough. The best move is to use this capital to generate more money. The most he can give his dad now is 200,000 yuan. He approached his dad and told him that he still had a portion left that he hadn't withdrawn, around 200,000 yuan, and asked if they needed it urgently. However, his mother told him that he should save it for now since the other debts aren't that urgent. But Shen's dad asked him to take out 50,000 yuan for him. Shen agreed. He remembered that the way his dad acted now was exactly the same as when he used to ask him for money. After giving the money to his dad, Shen started heading back to school. But on his way, he met Professor Li and asked her what she was doing there. Professor Li told him that there were no classes that afternoon, so she came out to get some fresh air. Seizing the opportunity, Shen invited Professor Li to dinner to earn some more money. However, Professor Li wasn't alone. She had come with her little sister, Li Meng. Li Meng looked at Shen coldly and angrily. Shen quickly realized that the teacher's sister was like his nemesis, and it was better not to mess with her, no matter what bad happened to him. So he quickly made an excuse and told Professor Li that he had something urgent to do at school and maybe they could eat some other time. Li Meng told her sister, Professor Li, that the guy had bad intentions. Professor Li reassured her sister not to overthink it. It was just dinner, and even if he had other intentions, she couldn't accept them. Meanwhile, Shen's whole body was covered in sweat. He remembered back when he drove with the AC on and caressed Zhou, wanting it was so comfortable and refreshing. But he remembered that, right now, He had a special fund for buying a car that the system had given him. Not using it would be disrespecting the great system. So he contacted Manhwa and asked her to come with him to check out some cars. Manhwa agreed and told him that she didn't have classes that afternoon. Minhui's friend teased her, saying she couldn't believe they were already picking out a car together. She asked Manhwa, "Won't you both head back to the dorm tonight?" Manhwa asked her friend not to talk nonsense, telling her that they weren't even together yet. But her friend teased her, saying it didn't matter if they were together or not. She was lucky to have found a rich and handsome guy, and soon they would be together. Manhwa blushed and asked her friend to stop teasing her. 1 hour later, at the dealership, Shen and Manhwa were looking at cars to buy. A salesman approached them and asked which model they were interested in. However, the salesman was surprised to see a familiar face. He recognized Manhwa as one of his high school juniors. Manhwa also remembered him. This was her senior, Qin Yang, the one who had chased her in high school. Salesman Qin Yang approached Manhwa and asked who the man with her was. Shen introduced himself and told him that he was Minhui's classmate. Qin Yang greeted him and then asked which car Shen was interested in. Shen pointed at the luxury M9 and asked the salesman if he could take a closer look. The salesman told him that the display car was over there, and he could take a look and even sit inside if he wanted. But inside, Qin Yang was furious, thinking that the most basic M9 costs 500,000 yuan, and with all the fees, it exceeds 600,000. This guy dresses so plainly, looks like he doesn't have money, and yet he brings a girl to the dealership to show off? He looked at Manhwa. She couldn't be. She was as beautiful as ever, and she had been his goddess in high school. But now, he was not the same as before. Now, he was an elite salesman at this dealership with a monthly salary of over 10,000 yuan, and he drove a 200,000 yuan Accord. Girls these days were realistic. Someone like him was their top choice. Qin Yang approached Manhwa and asked if she was free tonight. Manhwa awkwardly told her senior Qin that she was not free tonight. And she has other plans. Shen, sitting in the car, asks the salesman if he can arrange a test drive before he buys the car. The salesman, furious, thinks to himself, "I'm trying to invite Manhwa. Why are you interrupting? If you can't buy it, then why do you want a test drive? You're wasting my time." He apologizes and tells Shen that their boss took the test car today, so they can't do a test drive. Shen is surprised because before coming in, he saw the M9 at the entrance. If the salesman can't arrange it, Shen tells him to send someone who can. He gets out of the car and tells the receptionist to send him another salesperson so he can get a test drive. Upon hearing this, a beautiful girl named Chen Na approaches Shen and asks how she can help him. Meanwhile, one of Qin Yang's colleagues asked him, "Hey, did you give your client Chen Na the boy?" Qin Yang, furious, replied, "I don't want to waste my time on a student who isn't even wearing expensive clothes. He says he wants to buy an M9 and test drive it. Isn't that absurd?" But his colleague asked, "What if he actually buys it? You'll regret it later." Qin Yang smirked and said, "Buy? Not a chance. He's just a poor guy bringing a gorgeous girl to show off. I've seen plenty like him." Meanwhile, Chen Na arranged a test drive for Shenxi, explained the car's features and performance to him. However, Shen wasn't paying attention to her words. He was looking at her, amazed by her looks and figure, even more gorgeous than Manhwa. But he knew the auto industry well. He had read online news about sales girls making deals with male clients just to meet their sales targets, so he wasn't sure if she already had a sugar daddy or not. Chen Na noticed how professionally Shen was driving and asked if he was already familiar with the model's specs. She also asked about his approximate budget. Shen asked her if they had any units available. He wanted to take the car home today. Shen Na was surprised to hear that. She couldn't believe he wanted to buy the car right away. Based on her experience, all the clients she had seen before would view the car several times before making a purchase. But this guy, after just a single test drive without even asking the price, already wanted to buy it? Confused and wondering if he was serious, she thought, why did Qin Ye give up on him? She quickly checked if there were any units available at that moment, but there were none in the store. She apologized to Shen and told him, "We currently don't have any units here, but at another branch a client canceled his order due to financial issues." If needed, they could have the car delivered to the store within a week. Shen agreed to this proposal and asked her to place the order. Chen Na was surprised. She couldn't believe that someone would buy a car worth over 600,000 yuan without hesitation. Could this be one of those legendary angel clients? Or does he have other intentions? She told Shen to take a seat in the store and said he only needed to pay a 50,000 yuan deposit for now. She would fetch the contract. Once he received the car, he could pay the remaining amount. After finalizing the contract, she returned to the store where Qin Yang laughed and asked how the deal went. Qin Na smirked and told him the client bought it. Qin Yang, now nervous, said, "That guy is just showing off. When it comes time to pay, he'll make excuses and vanish. There are plenty like him in this store." His colleague agreed, saying, "In all these years selling cars, I've never seen a buyer so determined." Chen Na looked at both of them and said, "Mr. Shen bought the car and he plans to pay in cash." Upon hearing this, both of them were shocked. Chen Yang's colleague looked at him in disbelief and said, "I can't believe how stupid you were. You lost a huge sale. What a waste." After completing all the paperwork, Chen Na handed the documents to Shen and told him, "If you have any problems in the future, feel free to contact me anytime." She also offered him a ride, but Min Hui refused on his behalf. Min Hui told Chen Na that they would just take a taxi. Chen Na smiled awkwardly, realizing that for a moment she had gotten carried away with serving the client and might have annoyed his girlfriend. She thanked Mr. Shen for purchasing the car and told him to take care of them. After that, Shen and Min Hui headed back to the university. While walking, Shen asked, "What do you want to eat now?" Min Hui just nodded. Seeing her like that, Shen asked, "Are you upset or jealous?" Min Hui replied, "No," while blushing. Shen smiled at her. Though she said no, her expression gave her away. He reassured her, "Chen Na and I only have a salesperson-keyword relationship. It's nothing more." Min Hui said, "Who knows?" She told him she had seen him chatting happily with her, scrolling through her moments, and spending so much time together. Shen clarified, "That's just a habit of mine. Every time I add someone, I check out their moments, nothing more." Min Hui, still a little jealous, told him not to do that next time. Even though they weren't officially in a relationship yet, she suddenly felt jealous. Shen's generous spending and charm clearly attracted other women. If she wanted Shen for herself, she had to think of a way to lock him down. Shen nervously promised, "Next time I won't let that happen." Then he added, "Let's eat first, then hit the mall and pick out a gift." However, he also thought to himself, "If I want to earn money, I have to spend it on more girls and get refunds later. That's the trick." Min Hui told Shen, "You don't have to buy me anything. You already bought me 2 bags yesterday." She didn't want Shen to think she was a gold digger. Shen smiled and said, "That doesn't matter. It's normal for girls to have several bags. After all, there are 7 days in a week. You can't carry the same one every day. If I don't spend, how am I going to earn?" he thought. "Spending on girls gets me triple returns. The more she buys, the better. That way I earn more and more." A moment later, they entered a nearby cafe. Chen asked Min Hui, "Do you want a hot or cold drink today?" Min Hui blushed, wondering if Shen was indirectly trying to find out whether she was on her period. Nervously, she replied, "Cold coffee." Shen noticed her odd expression and thought, "What's with that look on her face? Geez, where has her mind gone?" Then he thought, "My last time with Joe Wanting was 2 months ago. With all the money I've saved, I really need to spend it." And with a grin, he decided, "Let's make this misunderstanding even more intense." 3 hours later, after eating and doing some shopping, the two of them started heading back. However, Min Hui couldn't help but notice how incredibly generous Shen Yuan was being to her. In just 1 day, he had spent over 80,000 yuan on her, and in 2 days, the total was nearly 140,000 yuan. Meanwhile, Shen received a notification from his system, received 252,000 yuan on May 12 at 11:39. Current balance, 2,254,256 yuan. Shen was thrilled to see the refund come in so quickly. The system didn't mess around when it came to double refunds. He had given 50,000 yuan to his dad and another 50,000 for the car deposit and got it all back instantly. Even though the 2.17 million yuan included the final payment for the car, even after subtracting nearly 600,000 yuan, he still had over 1.6 million yuan left to spend. Looking at Min Hui, he asked, "How about not going back to the dorm tonight?" Min Hui smiled and agreed. Half an hour later, they arrived at the Grand Magnate Hotel. While Shen was taking a shower, Min Hui sat on the bed, feeling embarrassed and wondering how she was going to explain to her friends why she hadn't returned to the dorm. How do I even say it? Should I just tell them I'm with Shen Yuan? Just then, Shen came out of the shower and asked, "Are you ready?" Blushing, Min Hui quickly messaged her friend Ling Ling, who had once warned her not to cross the line, but she couldn't help it. Shen had given her so much. She texted Ling Ling, "I won't be back tonight. If anyone asks, just say I went to a relative's house." After that, well, let's just say Shen made a move on Min Hui and things happened that can't be described here. Half an hour later, Min Hui thought, this isn't as scary as Chen Ling said it would be. Chen also didn't expect Min Hui to take it so well. He felt good but also completely exhausted. Seems like I haven't been exercising enough lately. After 2 months without anything, I've gotten so weak. Min Hui approached him and said, "Let's do it again." Shen, nervous and trying to catch his breath, said, "Can we rest a bit first?" But Min Hui wasn't listening. She was in the mood and full of energy. Early the next morning, just as Shen returned to the dorm, the first thing he did was pay off all the loans he had taken from various apps. To his surprise, the system even offered refunds for paying off debts. Between the various loan apps and credit cards, he owed a total of 52,000 yuan. And then there was the 100,000 yuan he owed Li Yuhang. When Shen's family went bankrupt, all his fake friends avoided him. But Li Yuhang, without any hesitation, helped him during his time of need. Just then, Shen's roommate asked, "Where were you last night? You didn't come back to the dorm." He also told Shen to check the class group messages. Li Jianpeng was inviting everyone to a class dinner tonight. Apparently, Li Jianpeng had bought a car, and the class monitor organized the dinner. "If we go, it'll just be to watch him show off," his roommate added. "But if we don't, we'll still lose the 200 yuan class fee." However, Shen told his roommate, "I don't want to go. That guy just wants to flaunt his money." Just then, the system triggered a time-limited task. Yes, the host will receive 1 million yuan exclusively for investments. He must invest the entire amount within 1 week. Task reward: all income from any commercial activity will be doubled. Shen smiled. He couldn't believe it. A business task? It was perfect timing. He had been wondering what to do with all the money in his account, and now he had the chance to use it to create a legitimate source of income to show his parents Li Yuhang's bar was still under renovation. Maybe Shen could invest in it and have some fun too. So we messaged Li Yuhang, "Send me your location. I'll join you tonight." Sometime later, inside the private Dragon Lounge at Nanjing Restaurant, Lin Guangyao, one of Li Yuhang's friends, asked, "Who else are we waiting for?" Another man in a black suit and glasses, Xie Haijie, said, "All the important people have already arrived." Zhao Zhang, another friend, agreed. "Yeah, the important ones are never late." Li Yun smiled and told them, "Don't be impatient. There are fruits and snacks on the table. Grab something while we wait. Shen Yuan will be here soon." However, Lin Guangyao raised an eyebrow and said, "Wasn't Shen's family supposed to be bankrupt? It's no longer in our circle, so why did he invite him?" But Li Wang simply told him to mind his own business. "He's picking up the tab tonight, and it's not your money he's spending. You don't have to complain. After all, Shen Yun is my lifelong friend. It's not the same." On hearing this, Lin Guangyao agreed and didn't say anything. Instead, he started fiddling with the colored light beside him and sat closer. Then he asked his cousin Xie Haijie, "Didn't you say your girlfriend was coming tonight? Why hasn't she arrived yet?" Xie Haijie replied, saying that his girlfriend was stuck in traffic and would be there in about 10 minutes. However, Lin Guangyao was furious, thinking to himself, "His family has always depended on mine. If it weren't for me, they wouldn't even have the right to attend this gathering. I don't know what kind of luck he had to land such an amazing girlfriend." especially in that tight skirt and white blouse. She's the kind of office temptation no man can resist. After all, they're not even married. I might still have a chance. Just then, Shen arrived and apologized to everyone. Sorry for keeping you all waiting. Li Yuyang asked him why it had taken him so long. Shen replied, there was heavy traffic and the driver took a detour through the most congested areas. Upon hearing this, Li Yuyang advised him to report the driver. Lin Guangyao, smiling, couldn't believe Shen had come by taxi. Everyone else here arrived in their luxury cars, and he took a taxi? No wonder he got stuck in traffic. He remarked sarcastically, you're lucky. While everyone else came in their own cars, you already have a personal driver. Just then, Xiaoyaji's girlfriend arrived. She was none other than Chen Na, the woman Shen had met when he visited the showroom to buy a car. She also apologized to everyone, saying she had been stuck in traffic. Xiaoyaji stood up and told everyone, my girlfriend is a sales rep at the 45 dealership, Yao Yao. Here's the corrected version of your text with proper grammar, sentence structure, and improved clarity. I've kept the tone casual and close to the original. If any of you need to buy a car, you can contact her, Sihaijie said, but inside he felt secretly proud. He might not be as rich as the others, but his girlfriend was prettier than theirs. Just then, Chen Na noticed Shen, the man who had picked up his car yesterday. However, since Shen didn't greet her, she decided to act like it was their first meeting. 40 minutes later, Li Yu stood up and announced, I'm planning to upgrade the bar I'm setting up. We're all good friends here. If anyone is interested in investing and growing the business together, let me know. The estimated cost is 2.4 million yuan. I'm willing to give up 30% of the shares, which means an investment of around 700,000 yuan. Anyone interested? However, everyone sat in silence. No one said a word. One of them thought, does Lin Guangyao really not understand? Li Xiao's family earns tens of millions a year. Does he really need outside investment for 700,000 yuan? He realized that it was probably because Li Yuhang's previous investments had failed and his father was no longer funding him. Meanwhile, Xie Haiji, who wasn't from a wealthy family, thought, if I want to invest in this business, I'll have to save for 2 years just to gather 700,000 yuan. And the third guy? He was just here for the food, not for any kind of investment. Everyone remained silent. They didn't want to invest in something where they weren't sure they could even recover their money. Li Xiao couldn't believe it. These guys are always happy to take advantage of me for food and drinks, and I always foot the bill, but when it comes to money, they hesitate. When they need something, they don't hesitate to ask. But now, when Shen is struggling, everyone suddenly plays dead. He finally asks them, why is everyone so quiet after dinner? Can't you at least say something? If you don't want to invest, just say no. Lin Guangyao spoke and told Li Xiao, I don't think we're at the point of needing investments yet. If it's just a liquidity issue, we can all chip in a few thousand to help open the place. Then, when you start making money, you can pay us back. Everyone agreed with Lin Guangyao, saying that if they became partners halfway through, it wouldn't be fair to Li Xiao. That way, when he starts making money, he doesn't lose out. After all, they had all seen Li Xiao's investment track record. The hot pot restaurant and the KTV he opened before were both disasters, and now he wants to open a chill bar? How is that any different from throwing money away? However, some of them didn't agree with Lin Guangyao, thinking, if he has money, let him lend it privately. Why drag everyone into this? We all depend on our families, and we don't even have enough pocket money ourselves. Li Xiao was disappointed. He couldn't believe it. He just wanted to partner with everyone to do business and make money. But if it turns into borrowing and getting into debt, then it makes no sense. But one thing became clear to him. These so-called brothers, especially Lin Guangyao, were useless. He had clearly talked about investing and becoming partners, but Lin Guangyao had turned it into a loan. So he told everyone, if no one's interested, then forget it. Lin Guangyao agreed, saying, Li Xiao talking about investments and partnerships makes no sense. Let's just keep eating, drinking, and having fun. Meanwhile, Shen, who already knew the true faces of these so-called friends, stayed silent. He had seen their attitudes ever since his family went bankrupt, and yet Li Yuhang still kept pinning his hopes on people like them. They're all parasites, surviving only thanks to their families, wasting everything they've been given. Li Yuhong quickly grabbed his phone and looked. Only to his surprise, he had received a message from his bank confirming a credit of 700,000 yuan to his account. Lin Guangyao, seeing Li Yuhong's stunned expression, asked him what happened. Instead of replying, Li Yuhong simply showed his phone to Lin Guangyao. As Lin Guangyao looked at the screen, he was shocked. He couldn't believe that Shen had actually transferred 700,000 yuan. Chen Na, confused, wondered if the situation had suddenly changed. One of the other friends approached Lin Guangyao and asked why he was shaking all over. "What kind of message did he show you?" With a trembling voice, Lin Guangyao said, "I have something to take care of at home, so I can't stay." Xie Haiji, also confused, asked him, "What's going on?" But Lin Guangyao replied, "Don't ask anything. You should go home too. Your uncle and aunt are looking for you." Xie Haiji, puzzled, responded, "They haven't called me." Lin Guangyao, furious, couldn't believe his cousin didn't even understand the gravity of the situation. But he realized it wasn't worth arguing anymore. Still, one thing he couldn't understand, if Shen had so much money, why did he come by Didi? Was he trying to show off? "He stole all the attention tonight." Another friend came over, curious about Lin Xiao's sudden change in attitude. He asked, what did the message say? But when he looked at it himself, he realized the gravity of the situation and decided it was best to quietly leave. Seeing him, the others also started leaving. However, Xie Haiji still didn't understand why everyone was behaving like that. But Chen Na advised him that they should leave as well. Outside, Xie Haiji asked Chen Na, "How did you know they were checking the transfer records? You didn't even see the message." She told Xie Haiji that Shen Yuan bought an M9 yesterday and paid in cash. However, Xie Haiji still didn't believe it and asked Chen Na if she was joking. With a serious face, Chen Na told him that she was telling the truth, and she even had the purchase contract saved on her phone. Xie Haiji apologized and said, "I am not trying to criticize you, but if you knew he was a rich guy, you should have told me earlier." But Chen Na was furious. She said, "Today, I finally see what kind of person you are," and told him firmly, "Let's never contact each other again." Meanwhile, back inside the bar, Li Wei told Shen, "If I had known you were that rich, I wouldn't have organized this meeting today." But Shen replied, "It was necessary. Now you've seen for yourself those guys aren't trustworthy. They're fine to hang out with, but when it comes to serious matters, you can't rely on them." Then Shen asked Li Yuhang to tell him more about his idea for the bar. Even though he was only a minority shareholder, he wanted to be involved in the planning. Li Yuhang agreed and began sharing his plans. For the next 30 minutes, Shen Yuan discussed the bar's decor, style, and operations with him. Li Yuhang was impressed with Shen's suggestions and said, "You didn't waste your time in college. You really have an interesting vision for business." Shen smiled and replied, "This is what you call commercial talent." But he also added, "Neither of us has time to manage the place every day, so we'll need to find a good manager who can handle this task." 1 hour later, Shen Na messaged Shen and told him the car he reserved was about to arrive at the store. She said he could come on Friday to pay the balance and pick it up. However, Shen told her not to worry and asked if she was free tomorrow night. He had some specific questions about the car that he wanted to ask in person. Shen Na, confused, wondered what was going on with Mr. Shen. Meanwhile, Shen, who only had Manhwa as his money tree, knew the refunds from the system were limited. He needed to expand and make the most of the system. Since Chen Na was beautiful and had an amazing figure, he thought, why not spend money on a beauty like her and get the refund through the system? The next day, Chen Na arrived at the location Shen had sent her and waited for him. But Shen still hadn't shown up. Just then, an awkward-looking old man approached Chen Na and asked, "What are you doing here, and why are you wearing the store uniform?" It was Chen Na's branch manager, Zheng Xianyang. He had been trying to flirt with her for a while, but never got the chance. Seeing her alone today, he felt it was the perfect opportunity. He told his colleagues, "You guys go find somewhere to eat. I've got other things to do." However, they already knew exactly what he was planning. One of the men asked another, "Do you think Chen Na will agree to Mr. Zhang?" But the other man replied, "I don't think so. Chen Na doesn't seem like that kind of person." The first man shrugged and said, I don't know, what kind of girl comes out here to eat alone? Maybe she set up a casual meeting on purpose just so Zhang Xianyong could see her. However, Hei Haiji was also there, secretly listening to their conversation from behind. Meanwhile, Mr. Zhang approached Chen Na and asked her, Are you alone? Mind if I join you? But Chen Na politely apologized and told him, I'm already waiting for a friend. I have a date. Mr. Zhang smiled, not believing what he was hearing. This little girl is still playing hard to get, he thought. He said, as your superior, it doesn't matter if you're waiting for someone, we can eat together. Chen Na, now visibly annoyed, firmly declined and told him to keep a proper distance. You already have a family, you shouldn't be doing this kind of thing. Mr. Zhang shamelessly replied, If you're worried because I have a family, I can divorce my wife for you. Meanwhile, Xia Haiji, fuming, wandered around the mall. He couldn't believe Chen Na had rejected him to go after another man. I earn 400,000 to 500,000 yuan a year. I drive a car worth over 300,000. I'm not inferior in any way, he thought angrily. Just then, he spotted Chen Na sitting with Mr. Zhang. I can't believe I'm losing to that fat old pig, he muttered. He stormed over to them and shouted at Chen Na, How can you have an affair behind my back? Chen Na, stunned and confused, told him, You misunderstood everything. Mr. Zhang was also confused, wondering who this fool was. However, Xia Haiji was so angry that without thinking, he punched Mr. Zhang across the face. Mr. Zhang was furious. He couldn't believe where this crazy dog had come from, daring to hit him. He grabbed Xia Haiji by the collar and punched him in the face. Both of them started fighting like wild dogs, and the people around enjoyed the spectacle. Just then, Sheng arrived and saw Xia Haiji fighting with someone. However, he was relieved. If it hadn't been for that fat man who took the fall, he would be the one lying on the floor right now. Shen grabbed Chen Na's hand and quietly left. While driving, Shen Na told Shen that she had only been with Xie Haiji for 2 weeks. It was at that dinner when she realized how horrible his character was. Luckily, she left him that very night. Shen agreed with her decision, telling her it's better to discover someone's true nature early than to regret it later. However, Chen Na said it wasn't over. Zhang Xian, the man who got hit, was her boss. Now that he had been beaten for no reason, she didn't know how he would treat her. Chen told her a boss like that didn't deserve her working for him and advised her that it would be better to change jobs. But Chen Na said it wasn't that easy to find work now. If she changed stores, she'd have to start over, and all the customers she had built up over the years would be gone. The truth was, being in sales for so long was exhausting. And she also wants to switch industries, for example, open a small cafe. If she's in a good mood, she'll stay open longer. If not, she'll close early. It'd be wonderful. However, a cafe costs between 300,000 and 400,000 yuan, and she doesn't know when she'll be able to save that much. Chen heard this and told her, if you want to open a cafe, you don't have to worry about not having enough money. Jay is willing to invest. Besides the 700,000 from Li Yuhang, I've just secured 300,000 won in exclusive investment funds. However, Chen Na didn't take it seriously and told Shen that if that happened, she'd resign immediately and work for him. Chen, with a serious expression, told her to resign tomorrow. I'll invest 300,000 yuan to open a cafe and you'll work for me. Qian Na was surprised, wondering if she had heard that right. Meanwhile, Xin was happy to get a new money tree. Chen Na was shocked and asked Xin if he was serious or just joking with her. Xin smiled and told her that he was genuinely serious. Don't you want to work for me? When the cafe is up and running, I'll pay you 12,000 yuan a month, plus bonuses. If the cafe does well for 3 months, I'll even give you a 200,000 yuan car. Chen Na, though surprised, couldn't believe how generous Shen's offer was. No sales pressure, just work for 3 months and get a car, and her annual income would top 300,000 yuan? However, she felt a bit worried. Was Shen doing all this because he was planning to keep her around? She told Shen, this isn't worth doing just for me, even though it all sounds tempting. I don't want to be a caged canary, especially not as a third wheel. Shen smiled and told her not to overthink it. He explained that he was planning to open a chain of cafes, and this first one was just a pilot project, so their relationship would be strictly boss and employee, nothing more. Chen Nana blushed and asked Shen to give her some time to think. Just then, Shen received a message from Manhwa asking if he was free that evening. If so, let's go out for a cold drink. Chen, a little surprised, couldn't believe how much energy Manhwa had. He replied, telling her that he would come. Then he turned to Chen Nana and said he had something to take care of and had to go. He told her to think carefully and let him know once she made up her mind. Sometime later, at room 808 of the Grand Magnate Hotel, as Shen entered the room, Manhwa grabbed him from behind and told him she missed him. But suddenly, she noticed the scent of another woman on him. Shen looked around and realized it might be because he had gotten into Chen Nana's car and ended up with her perfume. Manhwa pushed him back and asked how he could meet someone else behind her back. Shen hugged her and told her she had misunderstood everything. The only one I love is you. The scent you're picking up, it's probably from earlier today when I went to the dealership to handle car paperwork. Maybe I picked up some perfume from the sales girls. They wear a lot of perfume to attract customers. Manhwa agreed with his explanation. However, she told him that next time he goes out with another girl, he should let her know first and keep some distance from that sales girl. Shen nodded in agreement. However, deep inside, he knew he couldn't actually do that. His system task was to spend more on the opposite sex and earn money back through refunds, so he couldn't stick to just one money tree. After clearing up all the misunderstandings, Manhwa told Shen she was going to take a shower first and asked him to wait. However, Shen grabbed her from behind and threw her onto the bed, telling her, "You don't have to shower, I like your natural scent." Just like that, the two kissed and engaged in some proper exercise. 2 hours later, despite the long session, Manhwa still wasn't satisfied and wanted to continue. But Shen, now looking exhausted, asked her to wait. "I need to shower. I've sweated a lot and feel sticky. It's uncomfortable." One thing Shen realized was that Manhwa had far more energy than Zhou Wanting. Manhwa was glowing with happiness, but he was completely drained. Still, whatever kind of exercise they just did seemed to boost Manhwa's affinity level by a lot. Last time, it rose to 86 in one night. Today, after 2 rounds, it hit 90. As Manhwa's affinity level reached 90, Shen completed an affinity task and was rewarded with one lottery ticket worth 1 million yuan and one skill, Ruthless Power. Shen was surprised, but also thrilled. A lottery ticket worth 1 million yuan? With that kind of money, it would be easy to explain where the funds came from, and he could finally pay off his family's debts. However, what excited him even more was the skill he had just received, Ruthless X Power. With this skill, in the future he would be able to completely dominate Manhwa. From now on, she wouldn't control him, she would be under his control. As he activated the skill, his manhood became solid again, and he started to feel a huge surge of energy between his legs. The rewards for reaching an affinity level of 90 with the opposite sex are amazing, he thought. It seemed like the system gave rewards based on what he needed. However, he knew that reaching an affinity level of 90 with the opposite sex was tough. Although Li Xiao had surpassed 60, getting to Hui's level would be a long road. As for Shen Na, with her long legs and black stockings, she had also broken 60, but for now he needed to advance step by step. He really didn't know when the next girl with an affinity level above 90 would show up or what rewards he'd get, but he wouldn't worry about that for now. The important thing was to test the power the system had given him. So he approached Manhwa, who was surprised, and asked him if he wasn't taking a shower. Shen smiled and told her that he wanted to do more exercise before showering. Meanwhile, elsewhere at Qian Na's house, after hearing Shen's offer, she called one of her friends, Qian, and told her that a guy had offered her 300,000 won to help her open a store. He also said that after 3 months, he'd give her a 200,000 won car. Chen Na asked her friend Qian if she thought the guy wanted to keep her, but she also told her that the guy already had a girlfriend. Qian jokingly asked her if she was kidding or if she had run into a scammer, but Chen Na told her that she was telling the truth and that she'd seen him a few times. The last time, he even bought a car with her. Upon hearing this, Qian asked Chen Na how old he was, saying that most of the buyers at her dealership were usually middle-aged men. Chen Na replied that he was only 21 years old. Surprised, Qian couldn't believe it. So young and already driving a luxury car? She asked Chen Na if he was handsome. Chen Na nodded in agreement. Qian asked, is he really going to spend 300,000 yuan to help you open a store and then give you a 200,000 yuan car? A guy so rich, handsome, and young, what more could you ask for? But Chen Na told her that he was 5 or 6 years younger than her. Qian told her not to worry, saying, people say if a woman is 3 years older, it's like hugging a gold bar. In his case, roughly speaking, it's like hugging 2 gold bars. But Chen Na also told her that he already had a girlfriend. Qian told her that having a girlfriend isn't the same as having a wife. Even if he were married, under those conditions, it wouldn't matter. However, Chen Na disagreed with her opinion. Qian teasingly said to her, if you're so indecisive, pass this little millionaire to me. I'll put up with everything for you. But Chen Na told her that she should think about her own boyfriend first. However, Qian said that if a man like that wanted to keep her, she'd be single in a second. She hung up the phone and told Chen Na not to worry too much. Chen Na, after ending the conversation, looked out the window, thinking about Shen, wondering what she should do. Meanwhile, at the Grand Magnate Hotel, 40 minutes later, Manhwa, fully satisfied, told Shen Yuan that he was different from before, much stronger than before. Shen smiled and asked her if she was satisfied. Manhwa blushed, thinking, in just over 40 minutes we've already done it twice. Shen approached her and whispered in her ear, asking if she liked it so much, why not go for another round? Manhwa was surprised but embarrassed, asking if he could really go again. Chen smiled, saying, I remember you studied dance. Come on, how about you take the lead this time? Manhwa, embarrassed, replied that she didn't know how Shen approached her and told her that she could learn over time. Just like that, the two of them exercised all night. The next day, after Fang Manhwa returned to school, Shen was still feeling sleepy. He didn't have any classes in the morning, but suddenly remembered that he had received a lottery ticket from the system and wanted to check it. As he looked through the process, he realized the lottery ticket he had was showing the same numbers as today's winning draw. He had won 6.8 million yuan. Shen, overexcited, couldn't believe he hit a 6 million yuan jackpot. He quickly got up from bed, eager to tell his parents the good news. Ever since the family went bankrupt, they had been struggling. Sometime later, he reached his home and called out for his mother. His mother came out and asked why he was shouting at the door, what had happened. But before Shen told her the good news, he asked where his father was, saying he had something really important to tell them. His father came out and asked what happened. Had he gotten into some kind of trouble? Shen smiled and told them that their family was now rich because he had won a 6.8 million yuan lottery. However, his parents didn't believe him and told him not to stress too much over the family debt. Just focus on your studies, they said. We'll take care of the debts. Chen showed them the lottery ticket he had, along with the winning numbers on his phone. As his father matched the numbers, he was stunned. He turned to his wife and said, "We really won the jackpot." Both of them were shocked. They couldn't believe it was really 6.8 million. Chen told them that even after deducting 20% in taxes, they would still have over 5 million left. With that money, not only could they pay off the debts, but they could also greatly improve their lives. His mother, overjoyed, thanked her son. Because of him, their family was no longer in debt. She suggested they celebrate hitting the big jackpot. However, Shen told his parents that after graduation he was planning to start a business on his own to gain some experience. Shen's father agreed with him, but also gave him some advice. Right now, business isn't easy, but it's good that you have that idea. Young people need to explore, and since you won the prize, it's best you manage it yourself. He also suggested that Shen set aside a portion of the money for himself so that if he failed, he'd have a backup. Shen told his parents that he would only take 1 million yuan for himself, and they could use the rest however they needed. Shen's parents agreed and told him they would support whatever he chose to do. Meanwhile, at Chen Na's office, her boss, Mr. Zhang, called Chen Na into his office and asked for an explanation about the incident that had happened at the mall. Chen Na told Mr. Zhang that she had broken up with that man a long time ago, and she had nothing to do with him anymore. If he was hurt, he should be looking for the man, not blaming her. However, Mr. Zhang didn't agree, saying, "If it weren't for you, would that man have beaten me for no reason?" In truth, Mr. Zhang was planning to use the incident as an excuse to gain leverage and try to win her over. But Chen Na stood her ground and stuck to her word. Chen Na told Mr. Zhang, "What does their fight have to do with me? Besides, yesterday when he sat down, I told him I had a date, but he insisted on sitting there." However, Mr. Zhang smiled and told her she was being stubborn. He added, "Yesterday afternoon, you left your post, leaving customers unattended in the showroom. As punishment, I'm suspending your customer service duties for the rest of the month. Take this time to reflect on what you did wrong." Chen Na asked him why, saying that she had asked for permission yesterday. Zhang laughed and replied, "That's because I'm the general manager of this store, and I have full authority. I can do whatever I want." Chen Na was angry, but she couldn't say anything. Mr. Zing smiled smugly, thinking, "Suspending your customer service duties means you'll lose your commissions. If you're only getting the base salary this month, that's just 1,200 yuan, not even enough to cover your rent." Chen Na was furious. She told Mr. Zhang, "This general manager position has really gone to your head. It's nothing more than a trivial job. If necessary, I'll quit." Worried, Mr. Zhang stood up from his seat and asked Chen Na to think carefully. But Chen Na, still furious, told him, "I don't need to think anymore. From today onward, I'm done with this useless job." Half an hour later, she messaged Shen and told him that she had quit her job. Then she asked him, "Does what you said yesterday still count?" Shen congratulated her on escaping that hell and choosing a brighter path. He told her that when she had time, she could go check out some locations. "If you find one that suits you," he said, "we'll take it." After that, he went to meet Professor Li. However, Professor Li was busy moving her office supplies and asked Shen to help her, as there were too many things she couldn't move on her own. She said she was going to ask the class monitor for help, but he was on leave. Shen agreed and told her not to worry, explaining that he didn't have classes in the morning and was free at home. He pointed at a cabinet and asked Professor Li, "Do we need to move that too?" Professor Li nodded, telling him that if it were only books and supplies, she could manage alone, but the desk and the filing cabinet were too heavy. "But first," she said, "remove the books from the top of the filing cabinet or they might fall when we move it." As she tried to reach the books and files, her hand couldn't quite get to them. Shen came over to help. Because of that, he ended up standing very close to Professor Li, and because of that, Professor Li became flustered, thinking, "This time, we're much closer than that one time. Could it be that Shen Yuan really feels something for me?" Professor Li blushed, her face turning red with embarrassment. Nervously, she asked Shen if he was already done. Shen nodded and took the files from the cabinet. Just then, other students came in to help Professor Li. They noticed Sen and asked, "Why is Professor Li Xiao's face so red?" Shen approached them and said, "Hurry up and move the stuff. Take that filing cabinet to the office next door." Meanwhile, Professor Li felt relieved that the students had arrived just a few seconds later. If they'd seen what had happened, it would have been really embarrassing for her. But she also realized that Shen Yuan was getting bolder by the minute. What had happened at home was enough. Now he was off doing stupid things in the office. Yet, for some reason, she felt a little excited about it. However, she quickly dismissed those thoughts, reminding herself that she was a teacher and Shen was her student. She couldn't think about him in that way. Just then, Shen noticed that Professor Li's affection level had jumped to 71 and wondered if that moment had really boosted her feelings. However, he knew it wasn't because he was too charming. It was just that the professor had some seriously curvy hips. With a flatter girl, he wouldn't have gotten this far, but he didn't expect her affection to go up because of this. He realized maybe he should visit her more often to nurture their relationship. On the other side, 800 meters from the school's south gate, Ping came with two girls from his class to a cafe. The girl in the black dress said to Ping that she heard he bought a car worth 280,000 yuan in cash. The other girl also agreed, saying that he hadn't even graduated yet and was already driving a BBA. That put him above 99 of their classmates. Peng smiled and thought, what if Manhwa rejected me? Drills my credentials. Plenty of girls would be lining up to follow me. He told them that some people don't even care about a BBA. The girl in the black dress asked him if he was joking. How can they not care? What kind of family do they come from? The other girl also agreed, saying some people just don't get it. Even working for 3 or 5 years wouldn't let them afford a car like that. But just then, Peng and the girls noticed a luxury car standing in front of the cafe. Peng told them it was the Yao Yaoeo leading Me 9. But when they looked closely to see who was driving that car, they were surprised to find that it was Shen. Peng was shocked and refused to believe it, wondering how he was driving that car. Weren't we supposed to know his family was bankrupt? As Shen entered the cafe, Chen Nei called out to him. Peng was shocked. He couldn't believe that the gorgeous girl he had been admiring just a few minutes ago was waiting for Shen Yuan. Was this the cafe Shen and A had been thinking of buying? She had told Shen that the cafe owner had just texted her to wait here and that she would be here any minute. Then she asked Shen about the car handle and whether he had faced any problems. Shen smiled and told her that everything was perfect and that he hadn't faced any issues. Meanwhile, the girl in the black dress asked Peng who Shen was, still living such a carefree life. Wasn't his family supposed to be bankrupt due to corruption? Peng was furious. He couldn't believe it. That bastard, Shen Yuan, had just broken up with his partner, and now he was already hooking up with a beauty from outside the school. Just then, the cafe owner, Lin Yucheng, arrived. She apologized to Miss Chen and explained that she had just picked up her son and had gotten held up a bit. She praised Shen, not thinking that he was so young. Shen smiled and told her that they were all around the same age, about 20. He then asked Mrs. Lin to sit down and talk. Miss Lin sat down and told Shen that the business wasn't doing great, but being at the school meant a decent flow of customers. The problem was that she had tons of family issues, and taking care of her son left her with little time. So she had no choice but to transfer the cafe. The transfer fee was 300,000 yuan. Even though Shen had 300,000 yuan to invest, after the transfer fee, he would need to leave 50,000 yuan as seed capital for the business and to cover Chen Nei's first salary. So he offered Miss Lin 250,000 yuan upfront. Miss Lin, however, thought that price was a bit lower than what she expected. She had been expecting 270,000 yuan, but if she didn't transfer the cafe now, he might not find someone as determined. So she agreed to that price and asked Shen to sign the agreement and transfer the payment today. Shen also agreed and told her that once they signed, he'd transfer the 250,000 yuan to her. Just then, Miss Lin called Xiao Qiu, who is one of the employees of the cafe, and introduced her to Mr. Shen. Irsi told Qiu that he would be the new owner and asked her to show him around and get him acquainted with the place. Qiu greeted Shen, but Shen told her that she just needed to show Miss Chenane around. He wouldn't be coming by often. Qiu would handle everything in the business. Peng and the two girls listened to their conversation. The girl in the black dress told the other girl that in just a few minutes, they had closed a deal for 250,000 yuan. The other girl and the three of them said it was obvious that Shen Yuan took the cafe because of the gorgeous girl by his side. Peng, furious, didn't know what to say. Meanwhile, Chenei noticed that Miss Lin's phone was ringing. It was her husband calling. Miss Lin excused herself to take the call. Hahowever, Chen Ye showed Shen the name on Miss Lin's phone and told him that Mrs. Wright Yuan was the wife of Zhengji's Cen Yang, the same guy who fought with Zi Haiji at the financial center. He was her boss at the car dealership. Scream was surprised and couldn't believe that with such a beautiful wife at home, he still used his position to harass his employees. How despicable. If it were me, I wouldn't stand for it. Shen Na, a little worried, told Shen that she still had the chat records, where Zheng Jixian Yang harassed and threatened her. She was thinking of exposing him after she got her salary, so everyone in the industry could see his true colors. She asked Shen Yuan if they should tell Mrs. Lin. She's very kind, but she was afraid of hurting her. Shen smiled and told her that he didn't think it would be appropriate. Shen Na, curious, asked why he thought that. Shen smiled again and explained that once those chat records went public, Zheng Jiyu Yang would know who did it. A man over 40, unemployed yet with a family to support. He feared that Zing might do something awful. He told Chenane to relax and let him handle it. He promised he could take him down without it affecting her. Chen Na, relieved, thanked Shen for everything. Just then, Shen transferred 250,000 yuan to Mrs. Lin and also sent Shen Yui 50,000. Out of that, 24,000 was her salary for the last 2 months, and the rest would serve as seed capital for the business. At that moment, a system notification window popped up in front of him. He had used the 1 million yuan in exclusive investment funds to complete the initial investment task, and his investment level had risen from beginner to junior investor. After that, he received another task. A perfect life should have a more diversified industry. Task: the host will receive 10 million yuan in exclusive investment funds to further expand investments. Upon completing this task, he would receive 2 rewards. Investment income will triple. Upon completing the investment, he'll receive a mysterious industry. Shen didn't expect the system to surprise him again. This time, the exclusive investment fund multiplied by 10, and now he has 10 million yuan to invest. Plus, there's a mysterious industry. After ending the call, Miss Lin approached Shen and told him that she had received the payment. It had been a pleasure working with him, and she hoped to see him again. As Shen touched Miss Lin's hand, he couldn't believe how soft it was. Almost as if she had no bonus, yet it had a meaty touch. Could it be the charm of a wife? He smiled and told Miss Lin that in the future, they would see each other again. Half an hour later, Shen took Chen Nei to an expensive Japanese restaurant. Surprised, Chen Nei told Shen, "This restaurant is so expensive." She asked him if he came here often. Shen smiled and told her, "Not that often. Today's a good day to celebrate our partnership, so that's why I brought you here." Looking at Shen Na, Shen couldn't take his eyes off her. She was just irresistible. Any normal man would feel the same. He then asked Chen Na to sit next to him. At first, she hesitated, but eventually, she sat beside him. Shen grabbed her hand to bring her a little closer. He had spent 300,000 on the cafe, and every month he had to pay 12,000 in salaries. It's time to earn some interest back. Shen Na's whole face was red with embarrassment. She knows that in this world, there's no love or effort without reason. And she wonders, does he really want to make money off the cafe? Even Lan Yucheng said that just keeping the books balanced is an achievement, and all she's got to offer is this. Shen slowly approached and touched her butt. Chen Na, embarrassed, asked him to stop, telling him that the waiter was coming in. However, Shen told her not to worry. They don't serve that fast here, and continued what he was doing. 10 minutes later, as they were getting excited, the waiters came and told Shen that they were ready to prepare the dishes. Shenhua pushed Shen away and adjusted his clothes. Then Shen also told the waiters to prepare the dishes. When the dishes were served, Shen approached Chen Nei and asked her to try their house specialty. Chen Nei looked at Shen and realized that he was actually quite handsome, but his only flaw was that he was a bit of a rascal. Even though he had such a beautiful girl by his side, he still acted like this outside. It's a shame he's on his own boat now. There's no point in dwelling on that. 40 minutes later, after finishing dinner, Shun saw that the total bill came to 26.52. He scanned the code to pay. Even though the meal cost him 26.52, the system refunded him triple, so he earned 5,304. Making money is as easy as that. One meal equals the commission from selling a car. For the rich, spending 2,000 is like spending 20 for him. After dinner, Chenny told Shen that she wanted to go back to the cafe to talk with Xiao Qiyu and understand the situation better. Tomorrow, she would start working there, and she wanted to get familiar with it as soon as possible. However, Shen told her that it was already at 30 and Xiao Ilq leaves at 9. If she went now, she'd disturb her and earn her resentment. It was better to go home, get some rest, and come tomorrow. Shen Na's whole face turned red, and she agreed with Shen's suggestion. She also apologized for bothering him again to take her home. 10 minutes later, they reached Chen Na's house. She got out of the car and thanked Shen for working hard today. Tomorrow after work, she'd hand him the report. After saying that, she said goodbye to him. However, Shen, in a different mood, told her that he was a bit thirsty and wanted to come upstairs for some water. Embarrassed, Chen Nei told Shen that she didn't think that was very appropriate. Isn't that too soon? What happened at the restaurant was already my limit. Shen teased her and asked if there was another man at her place. Chen Nei was startled, then quickly responded, telling him that it wasn't what he thought. She had already broken up with Zi Haiji. Shen smiled and said, "Then no problem. I'll just have some water. What's inappropriate about that?" Shen Nei looked at him suspiciously and asked if he was really just going to have water and leave. Shen confidently replied, of course, but he also told her that if she wanted him to stay over, he can. With Chen staring at him, her face displaying a cute expression. Then she lets Shen into her house. However, as they enter, Shen quickly grabs her from behind. Chen Nei, feeling embarrassed, tells Shen, "Didn't you say you were only going to have water?" Shen agrees, but the kind of water he wants is not what she was thinking of. He grabs her and starts kissing her. At that moment, downstairs, Eng Zihaiji comes to Chen Na's place to apologize. He had been thinking that Chen Na probably quit because of him. First, he needed to earn her forgiveness, even if it's just to be friends again, and then he would work hard to win her back. However, when he sees that the lights at Chen Na's place are off, he thinks she must not be home. He concludes that he'll leave flowers at her door. Roses mean I'll love you forever. This feeling won't change. She's so smart, she'll surely know he sent them. But when he reaches the front door of Chen Na's room, he hears strange sounds coming from inside. Li Jiqi quickly recognizes the voice. It's Na's voice. He can't believe that she had said she had nothing to do with Mr. Zhang, but in reality, they're already together. Angrily, he knocks on the door, shouting Mr. Zhang's name, asking him to come out. However, there is no Mr. Zhang. It's Shen. Shen hears Xi Haiji's voice but can't believe that idiot has already broken up with her. Why is he getting involved? What's his problem? Shen Ne also hears something outside, someone knocking on the door. But Shen told her she was mistaken. It was someone knocking in the room next door. She didn't have to worry. He lifted her into his arms and placed her on the bed. Chen Na, feeling embarrassed, told Shen to be gentle. Outside, Zihaiji collapsed in tears on the ground, in front of Chen Na's door. He realized Chen Na had been completely taken. Now, he had no chance. But one last time, he whispered to himself, tell her to use protection. 1 hour later, they were still going. Shen Na felt immense pleasure, but was also a little worried about Shen. Shen told her to lie down. That way, she wouldn't get tired so quickly. With the relentless skill granted by the system and his seemingly endless stamina, he simply couldn't stop. Although Shen Na seemed outgoing, Shen hadn't expected her to be so reserved in reality, and that only made him more attracted to her. Just like that, they continued all night. The next day, Shen lay in bed when he suddenly smelled something amazing like toasted bread and fried eggs. It was Chen Na cooking breakfast for him. Looking at her, he thought, Chen Na is so considerate, very different from the vibe I got from Hui at the hotel. This kind of warmth only exists at home. A hotel could never offer this feeling. Just like that, he triggered another time-limited task. Spew your property of at least 100 square meters for Chen Na within 24 hours. Reward 1, the cost of the purchased property will be doubled. Reward 2, after the purchase, the host will receive a mysterious property. Jean, excited, couldn't believe the system had just materialized an idea he'd barely even voiced. With the system's generosity, this property is sure to be anything but modest. Maybe the mysterious property is a huge mansion, perfect for pool parties. Looks like in the future I should meet more high-quality women. That way my chances of getting surprises like this will increase. Shen noticed Shen was already up and told him breakfast would be ready in 2 minutes. Shen was excited, wondering what kind of reward he'd get if Chen Nai's affection level reached 90. He smiled at her and asked, is breakfast the only thing on the menu today? As he grabbed her from behind, Shen couldn't believe it. After everything that happened last night, he still wasn't satisfied. Jean told her to go finish making breakfast, and that he'd have as soon too. He then said if she had nothing to do this morning, he suggested she go buy a house, one that he would gift her. Shen Na was surprised, wondering if he was joking. He had already spent 300,000 helping her with the coffee shop, and now he wanted to buy her a house. Even though Xinxianjiang isn't a first-tier city, a house would still cost at least $1 million. Besides, he had already devoured her from top to bottom, and she felt like she had nothing left to offer. What exactly was he after? She wondered, was it because she made him happy last night? Shen kissed her on the cheek and asked, why so quiet? Or, do you not want it? But Shen told him it was just all too sudden and way too valuable. Money doesn't grow on trees, she said. However, for Shen, it almost did. He had over 3.5 million on his card just for buying a house, and if he spent it all, the system would refund him 5 times over, meaning his savings would instantly exceed 17 million. Yushin comforted her and told her not to worry about saving money for him. There's nothing wrong with buying a house for my woman, he said. So he told Shen to pick one that's over 120 square meters. He didn't want to treat her badly. He wiped her tears and added, we made so much noise last night and the insulation here isn't great. The neighbors on both sides probably heard everything. We can't keep renting this place. Chen Na blushed and told him it was all his fault. Shen apologized and admitted his mistake, but also added teasingly, but you were the one yelling so loudly. Just then, Shen remembered something and said, oh, Shen, I have 2 friends who want to check out the coffee shop. I scheduled them for 10:30 a.m. Can you come with me? And maybe afterward we can go see the house. Shen told her, buying a house isn't like buying vegetables. We have to pick the right one, and there's paperwork to handle. An afternoon might not be enough. We should set aside more time. Chennai realized the gravity of the situation and agreed. She said she'd tell her friends they'd have to reschedule. She texted her friend Kian saying she had something to take care of and couldn't make it to the coffee shop, but asked if they could meet tonight instead. But Kian replied, "We're almost at the coffee shop already. Menglu and I are just about there." Tianqian told Menglu, who was driving, that Chun Na said she had something urgent and couldn't come. Liu Menglu, a well-known personal trainer and one of Chun Na's friends, asked Qianqian what had happened. But Qianqian shrugged and said she suspected the coffee shop idea might have fallen through, or maybe Chun Na was just exaggerating. Seriously, she added, what kind of man is that easy to fool? Who would spend 300,000 on her just like that? However, Liu Menglu responded firmly, Chen Na isn't the type to show off. I don't think she would make something like that up. Then she asked Qianqian, can you find out what's really going on? Deep down, Menglu was thinking, I haven't met a young, handsome, rich man in years, and I never imagined Chen Na would be the one to land one first. No matter what, she was determined to meet him and make a connection. Qian nodded and sent Chen Na a message. To their surprise, Chen Na replied, Shen is taking me to buy a house. Liu Menglu was stunned when she read that. Buying a house wasn't like buying handbags or makeup. It was a serious investment. Even a small 40-square-meter apartment would cost between 500,000 and 600,000 yuan. Adding in the coffee shop, a man Chen Na had known for less than half a month was already willing to spend close to 800,000 to 900,000 yuan on her. She realized, no matter what, I absolutely must meet this guy, even if Nana was already with him. A man like that surely didn't have just one woman. Who knows how many more were out there? And when it came to attracting men, she had more advantages than Chen Nayo. She asked Qianqian to message Chen Nai again and find out which real estate development they were going to. Tell her we'll help evaluate it, Li Menglu said. Honestly, we've got nothing to do today, and it's better if a few people help her choose than her doing it alone. She apologized to Chen Na, saying, this time it's better if you let your sisters benefit, rather than letting some other woman out there take advantage. Tianxian agreed and asked Chen Na which real estate development they were going to. 40 minutes later, the two of them arrived at the Songgu Tiandi Sales Center. Liu Menglu was stunned. Songgu Tiandi? The smallest units in this development cost over 1 million yuan. Gifting a house worth over 1 million just to keep a mistress? When will I ever be that lucky? Just as Liu Menglu was marveling at the luxury of Songgu Tiandi, she spotted Chen Na waving at them from across the center. Excited, she nudged Jianqian and asked, who's that handsome guy by her side? Quick, ask Chen Na to introduce us. Chen Na smiled and said to Shen Yuan, these are my good friends. This is Liu Menglu, a personal trainer, and this is Ho Qianqian, a Ferrari salesperson. Liu Menglu watched as Shen approached them, admiring his perfect figure. She suggested casually, if you ever have time, you should come train at my gym. But in her mind, she was thinking, I never thought Nana's sponsor would look this young. Maybe 25 at most? Rich, young, and handsome. It's honestly envy-inducing. Shen smiled and teased, at your gym, I'm afraid I wouldn't be able to concentrate. Seeing that Chen Na didn't object to the light flirting, Menglu quickly realized they're probably not an official couple. She also noticed the slight swelling in Chen Na's knees and immediately understood the battle last night must have been intense. From the look of it, she calculated that Chen Na must have really pleased her sponsor, which is probably why he brought her out today to buy a house. Tianqian also greeted Shen and told him if you ever want to change cars, you should come check out the Ferraris in our showroom. Shen nodded and replied, if I decide to switch cars, I'll definitely contact you. What got Shen even more excited, however, was their affection levels. In less than 5 minutes of meeting, both of these women are already interested in me? He couldn't help but wonder if they were really Shen Na's good friends. Or, for Shen, this wasn't a bad thing. In fact, it worked in his favor. The more women with an affection level above 60, the more money trees I'll have. After the introductions, the group headed inside to look for a suitable house for Chen Nine inside the showroom. Many onlookers admired Shen Nine's buying a house and bringing along 3 beauties. Just then, one of the sales representatives approached Shen and informed him, we currently have units available in buildings 3 and 9 with an average price of around 15,000 yuan per square meter. Would you like to see the model units first? However, Shen waved his hand and said, "No need." Then he added, "My budget is 3 million. Can you recommend units and floors that fit within that?" The sales rep quickly apologized and invited him into the negotiation room to provide a more detailed and professional recommendation. Liu Menglu was shocked. What kind of tycoon is this Shen Yuan, spending 3 million without a second thought? This kind of sponsor, I absolutely must hold on to him. Inside the negotiation room, the salesperson ran the numbers and told Shen, "With your budget, I recommend a 165 square meter unit facing south with beautiful scenic views. After the discount, the final price would be 2,984,000 yuan." Seeing the price, Chen Na leaned over and whispered to Shen, telling him it was too expensive. Shen smiled and gently replied, "Don't skimp on expenses. A big house is much more comfortable to live in." Hearing this, both Liu Menglu and Qian Chen couldn't believe what they were witnessing. The woman wants to save money for him, but he insists on giving her the best? This man is a legendary sponsor, loyal and generous. A man like this is almost impossible to find. Noticing all the eyes on him, Shen realized he had to at least pretend to haggle, otherwise people might think he was a fool. So he turned to the salesperson and said, "Work out the best discount for me, gorgeous. I know there's room to negotiate." Hearing this, the salesperson quickly responded, "If you're ready to make a decision today, I'll go request an even bigger discount immediately." But Shen waved it off. "No need for more discounts," he said. "Instead, we want to exchange that value for 2 parking spaces. The final price should come out about the same." Liu Menglu watched the scene unfold, stunned. No matter what, I have to win over this man. Meanwhile, Shen noticed a sudden shift in Liu Menglu's behavior and wondered what was going on with her. When she noticed Shen looking at her, Liu Menglu subtly pulled down her jacket to give him a glimpse of her bra. Shen blushed, his gaze trailing over her figure, thinking to himself, if something really happened between us, that feeling would be unimaginable, but he shook the thought from his mind. This isn't the time to get distracted. First, close the house deal. I'll think about the rest later. Half an hour later, after calculating all the discounts, the total price of the house came to 2.98 million yuan. The salesperson handed Shen the contract and asked him to sign it. Both Liu Menglu and Qian Qian were shocked. They couldn't believe he'd just helped Chen Na buy a 3 million yuan house. And the most unbelievable part? He only put Chen Na's name on the deed. When will I ever get that kind of fortune? They both thought silently. As soon as the contract was signed, Shen immediately received 14.9 million yuan in his bank account. Shen was thrilled. His account balance now exceeded 15 million yuan. Even at his father's peak, their family never had that much money. This system is incredible, he thought. If it weren't for Chen Na triggering the mission, I'd never have become a multi-millionaire overnight. Developing more female NPCs, that's definitely the right path. Right after that, he also received his second reward, a villa in Qingzhou Lake, Green City. The system told him to claim it at the sales office tomorrow at 9 o'clock IMing. Upon seeing this, Shen grew even more excited. A villa? And it's one of the 10 super mansions in Star City? Meanwhile, the salesgirl glanced at Shen with admiration. The real estate market isn't doing great right now, and this Mr. Shen just paid cash for a luxury home. For Miss Chen. And they don't even seem like a couple. They barely look like boyfriend and girlfriend. How I'd love to have a contact like that. She turned to Shen and said, "The contract is signed. I'll follow up with Ms. Chen to handle the rest of the procedures." Then she asked, "Would you mind if we exchange WeChat contacts? That way if you ever have other purchasing needs, you can reach me directly." Shen agreed and gave her his WeChat. Liu Menglu, visibly jealous, thought to herself, where did this vixen come from, daring to mess with what's mine? She quickly stood up and said to Shen, "I've also been thinking about buying a small apartment recently. When I do, I'll need your advice, with your experience, of course. So, I'll need your WeChat too, and if you ever need personal training, you can count on me." Chen nodded and gave her his WeChat account. Then he told Chen Na that he had other things to do that afternoon, so he wouldn't be joining them. He also didn't want to intrude on their time together. Liu Menglu, however, couldn't believe he was leaving already. Not even staying for a meal, with all she had to offer? She was frustrated, but she knew this wasn't the right time. There would be more opportunities in the future. Then Chen Na asked Meng Lu and Qian Qian to find a place to eat first, and afterward she would show them her coffee shop. Qian Qian excitedly told Chen Na, "Today is a happy day. I'm going to throw us a little party. After all, you just got a house worth 3 million yuan. Meng Lu agreed, though her expression showed she was still thinking about Shen. Half an hour later, back at the school cafeteria, Shen was getting himself something to eat just then. He noticed Professor Lee sitting alone, lost in thought. At that moment, she received a phone call from Secretary Liu, asking her about preparing the materials and having a report ready by tomorrow. Professor Lee assured him, "Don't worry, everything will be ready tomorrow. I've already looked into it." She explained that currently, the University of Science and Technology, the Agricultural University, and even the business school all had this kind of base. Then Secretary Liu asked her if she was free tomorrow night. But she politely declined, saying, "I'm not free tomorrow night, I'm really sorry, I truly have something else planned." After that, Secretary Liu ended the call. Shen then approached her and asked, "Professor Lee, is something wrong?" Professor Lee explained that the school was planning to establish a startup base for college students, and she was part of the working group. The call had been about that. Shen, curious, asked her more about the startup base. Professor Lee told him that the school planned to support students with entrepreneurial ideas by offering funding, space, and guidance. However, she added, "Right now, we're facing some issues. We don't have enough funding and need partnerships with outside companies." Shen, curious, asked Professor Lee what conditions the school could offer to companies in exchange for partnerships. Professor Lee told him that there really wasn't much. All the school could offer was talent by signing contracts with companies to send them high-quality graduates each year. Hearing this, Shen replied that the school didn't have much of an advantage there, and the quality of their graduates couldn't compare to those from elite universities. "There's nothing exciting enough to attract those companies' attention to invest," he said. Professor Lee agreed. She knew that if companies didn't get what they wanted, they naturally wouldn't invest. But what frustrated her even more was that Secretary Liu was pressuring her to go out drinking with company directors, hoping she could convince them to invest money into the project. Seeing how worried Professor Lee was, Shen realized something was wrong. So even though he had 10 million in exclusive investment funds and could invest in this himself, he still needed to consider profitability. For the project to be viable, the student's success rate would have to reach at least 33%, but at their school, it might not even reach 20%. Just then, Shen was about to speak, but before he could say anything, Professor Lee asked him, "Are you interested?" Professor Lee asked, thinking Shen Yuan wanted to start a business. Shen nodded and said a little, but not too much. Actually, he was thinking about sponsoring this project. Professor Lee smiled and said it was good to have that idea, but since the project hadn't launched yet, it would probably be difficult. Just as Shen was thinking, the system suddenly triggered a mission: earn prestige points by investing in university projects. If he successfully completes this mission, he will be rewarded. For every 500 prestige points accumulated, he gets a chance to draw, possibly earning attribute points and special skills. Prestige points refer to a reputation that inspires admiration in others, representing the recognition and respect people have for the host. These points only count among the university's teachers and students. Shen was surprised. He couldn't believe this could trigger a mission too. Well, after all, the exclusive investment funds were given by the system. If he didn't have to worry about profitability and could earn prestige points, then this startup base was perfect. It would also help Professor Lee solve her urgent problem. Absolutely, he is the investor, so he decides who to invest in and how much. Wouldn't it be awesome to invest in those older and younger female classmates' shops, rack up prestige points, and at the same time boost their affinity? He could make so much money that his hand would hurt from counting. So he asked Professor Lee, if someone or a company is willing to invest, who evaluates the students receiving the investment? The investor or the school? Better clear that up so he doesn't end up investing his own money only for the school to cause trouble. Professor Lee told Shen that, in theory, the school should evaluate the students. But since right now, they can't find investors, there's plenty of room to negotiate. However, she asked Shen why he was asking all of a sudden. Shen smiled and told her that he wanted to invest, but he had one condition: that he must be the one to evaluate which students receive the funding. However, Professor Lee didn't believe him and told him this was not the time for jokes. She told him that his family had recently gone bankrupt and that he had even applied for financial aid scholarships. Shen didn't waste time convincing her. He directly showed her his bank account and asked her to look closely at how many zeros he had. Now, there was no need for him to be discreet. On the contrary, he had to show off more to gain more prestige. Professor Lee looked closely and couldn't believe it. Shen's account was loaded with 15 million yuan. She asked him how he had earned so much money if his family had gone bankrupt. Shin told Professor Lee that back when his family business was still doing okay, he was also investing in cryptocurrency and currency exchange, and he earned this money himself. Professor Lee was still in shock and couldn't believe one of her students was a multimillionaire. He approached Professor Lee and told her to come away with him. In the future, they would travel the world and he would ensure she lived in luxury. Professor Lee blushed in embarrassment and told him, "Don't be silly." Then she asked Shen if he was sure he wanted to invest in this project. As far as she knew, college startup bases seldom turned a profit, so she suggested he think about it carefully. This wasn't a small amount of money. But Shen told her that he was clear on that and it didn't matter. Mainly, he wanted to contribute to his alma mater's development. Seeing Shen so serious, Professor Lee wondered if he was doing this for her. However, she dismissed those thoughts, saying, "He's my student. I can't think like that about him." She stood up from her seat and told Shen that she would talk to Secretary Liu about it later, and told him to take his time eating and that they'd talk later. But before she left, Shen also asked her to think about his proposal. A moment later, Shen Na sent Shen some photos of herself with coffee and told him she made the coffee herself, inviting him to come try it when he had time. However, for Shen, the coffee wasn't that great, but the outfit she was wearing was pretty tempting. So he headed toward the coffee shop to meet Chen Na. Meanwhile, Xin Yuan's classmates from Group 2 of International Trade, Kong Xiaoyi and two others, were going out shopping. One of them told Xiaoyi that Xin Yuan was no longer the rich kid, he was broke now. Why does she still think about him every day? He probably has to do part-time work to pay tuition by now, she said. But the short-haired girl with the pink skirt told Yu Ping that she was the one talking and she was going out with Huang Haibao, Shen Yan's roommate. Yu Ping told her not to bring that up, saying that she had turned Huang down multiple times, but he kept persisting. She told her friends that when he treated her to a meal, she would invite them along just to see his reaction. She was happy. If she went out with Huang Haibao, at least she would get a free meal. But if she hung around Shen Yuan, they'd only lose money. So she, Xiao Yi, really needed to think carefully. Just then, the short-haired girl in the pink skirt noticed Shen coming and told Yu Ping to lower her voice. "Look over there, Shen Yuan's coming." Yu Ping mockingly remarked, "Look, isn't he heading to a part-time job? It's a little past 3, exactly when restaurants get ready." The short-haired girl in the pink skirt laughed and told her friends that they should ask him which place he was working at. Xiao Yi tried to stop her friends, saying, "Isn't that inappropriate? They're all classmates, and there's no need for that." But Yu Ping didn't listen. She approached Shen and asked him why they hadn't seen him around lately. Mockingly, she asked if he was busy with a part-time job and also asked which place it was at. She said they could go and support him. Shen smiled, thinking, "What kind of question is that? A part-time job? They think he needs one?" Well, since his roommate Huang was chasing Tian Yu Ping, he'd let it slide. But he decided to mess with them a bit and play along. He told them that he was working at a coffee shop and invited them to come and get some free coffee. However, when they arrived, they were shocked to see two beautiful women. They couldn't believe how gorgeous and stylish both of them were. They looked like they had stepped out of a manga. Their figures were unreal. Could someone really have that big chest, slim waist, firm butt combo in real life? As Shen approached, both of these gorgeous girls glanced toward him. They were shocked to see this, and Liu Menglu asked Shen, "Didn't you say you had things to do this afternoon?" But he was just hanging out with his 3 classmates. Shen told Liao Lu that he found them on the street. They wanted to grab a coffee, so he invited them along. Then he turned to Xiao Qiu and told her to ask the 3 ladies what they would like. He added, "Don't ask them for the bill, it's my treat." Diao Chu asked them to sit wherever they liked and to scan the QR code on the table to order whatever they wanted. However, Yu Ping couldn't believe that Shen wasn't just an employee, but actually the owner of the coffee shop. Upon realizing this, Xiao Yi told her friends it was better not to order anything. Yu Ping agreed with her suggestion. Embarrassed, both of them quietly walked out of the coffee shop. Yu Ping muttered, "How shameless can Shen be? If he's so rich, owns a coffee shop, and has such a beautiful woman with him, why does he say he's working part-time?" Seeing Shen's colleagues leave in a hurry, Liu Menglu asked him why they left. Shen smiled and replied, "Maybe they got scared after seeing those 2 stunning fairies." Hearing this, Liu Menglu flirtatiously and teasingly said to Shen, "Of course they're beautiful, but if you want such beauty, you should also work hard instead of just daydreaming." A moment later, Shen Na made coffee for Shen and gave it to him. However, she wasn't sure how much sugar he liked, so she made it half sweet. Shen flirted and told Shen Na, "Even if you added all the sugar in the world, I'd happily drink it." Liu Menglu smiled, unable to believe that in such a modern era he was still spouting such cheesy lines, but she knew that when a handsome rich guy says cheesy things, they sound different. Then she asked Shen to tell her how tall he was and how much he weighed so she could calculate his BMI and prepare a good training session for him. Shen gave her all the details and told her that he had recently lost a bit of weight. Curious, Liu Menglu asked him why he had lost weight. Shen looked at Chen Na and replied, "Due to energy expenditure." Chen Na blushed in embarrassment and whispered in Shen's ear, "Why are you saying that in front of my friends?" Liu Menglu, however, understood what he meant. She advised Shen to exercise more and gain 7 to 10 kilograms of body fat and muscle. In short, she wanted him to subscribe to her gym. Liu Menglu smiled and told him that if he signed up now, she'd give him a really good discount and promised he wouldn't regret it. Chen simply replied that he would think about it. Then, Liu Menglu realized it was already past 4. She said goodbye to Shen and Chen Na, explaining that she had to get back, she had a class at 5, so she'd meet them next time. Before leaving, she winked at Shen. Shen was surprised and couldn't believe how bold she was in front of her friend, but he knew that sooner or later she might become one of his most valuable contacts. After Liu Menglu left, Shen grabbed Shen Na's hand and asked her to come with him to the second floor. Curious, Shen Na asked, "What kind of workout?" Shen grinned and told her, "Just follow me, you'll see." Upstairs, Shen gently pulled her closer and said, "Your work skills could use some improvement. You need extra training." Shen Na tried to stop him, whispering that they shouldn't do anything here since Xiao Qiu was still downstairs. But Shen didn't listen. He leaned in and began to kiss her. Meanwhile, Xiao Qiu was on the first floor, busy cleaning up the leftover dishes. Just then, Xiao Qiu started hearing some strange noises coming from the second floor. At first, she wasn't sure what kind of sounds they were, but gradually she realized what was going on. Her face turned red with embarrassment, and she quickly closed the cafe so no one could disturb them. However, just as she was about to lock the door, Liu Menglu suddenly walked in, telling her to open it. She had forgotten her bag. Xiao Qiu didn't want to, but when Liu Menglu insisted, she eventually opened the door for her. As Liu Menglu entered and was about to grab her bag, she heard Shen and Shen Na's voices from the second floor. Smiling to herself, she couldn't believe they were being so bold in broad daylight, so she stayed and waited quietly. 10 minutes later, she was surprised. "He's so slim, yet so strong in bed," she thought. That moment, Liu Menglu realized, no matter what, she had to get Shen for herself. Speaking out loud, she said to Xiao Qiu that she'd found her bag and was heading out. Meanwhile, Shen didn't care, but Chen Na was deeply embarrassed. She couldn't believe his friend had heard everything. But for Shen, it was thrilling. He thought, an exciting training session definitely needs an audience to feel real. That fairy Liu Menglu had been eavesdropping downstairs for at least 10 minutes. Is this a free pay-per-view program? Next time, I'm going to charge her. Meanwhile, at the university, Secretary Liu asked Professor Li, "Didn't you mention that a student named Shen Yuan wants to invest in the startup base?" Professor Li nodded. However, Secretary Liu asked her, "Does he even have the capacity? Have you verified his funds?" Professor Li told Secretary Liu, "At first, I didn't believe it either, but when I saw his bank account balance, over 10 million, with my own eyes, I realized he wasn't lying." Shocked, Secretary Liu asked, "Are you serious? He really has 10 million? Are you sure that money isn't from his parents? Does he actually have the right to use it?" Professor Li replied, "The money belongs to Shen. He has full control over it." Secretary Liu smiled and said, "In that case, we don't need to keep cooperating with external companies. Tell Shen to come to my office. I'll discuss the collaboration with him." However, Professor Li cautioned, even though Shen is a student, if we want him to be an investor, shouldn't we be a bit more friendly? Secretary Liu smiled again and said, "Don't worry, just do as I say. Of course, he's a student from our own school. We can't let him get too big for his britches. We need to keep him humble." Meanwhile, Shen, who was busy working, suddenly received a call from Professor Li. Curious, he asked her what it was about. Professor Li explained the whole situation, along with everything Secretary Liu had asked her to pass on, and hearing it all, Shen couldn't believe the school's attitude toward investors. They want to control me? Even if I give in this time, there's no guarantee they won't try to take advantage again in the future. So he asked Professor Li to turn on the speaker. He wanted to speak with Secretary Liu. Professor Li did as Shen said. On speakerphone, Shen told Secretary Liu, "Lately, I've been very busy and I have several investment projects to evaluate. I'll meet with you when I have time." Professor Lee, please give him my number. Before Secretary Lu could say anything, Shen hung up the call. Professor Lee blushed, unable to believe he had actually dared to hang up on the secretary. She hadn't expected him to have so much backbone. Secretary Lu's face turned pale. He couldn't believe a student had dared to hang up on him. All the other student leaders bowed to me with respect. Is that stinky money all he has? Still, he knew the project was urgent. If there was no progress soon, Secretary Kong would definitely hold them accountable. So, he told Professor Lee, since Shen is willing to invest, invite him to dinner. Professor Lee agreed and sent Shen a message. Shen smiled, thinking, they want to invite me to dinner? I hold the advantage in this negotiation now. I must secure total control over the investment. First, I'll make Lu Xiaojiang wait. Chen Na put on her clothes and said to Shen, if he was busy, he could go. They could have dinner some other time. Shen smiled, unable to believe how wonderful Chen Na was. She was so considerate in everything. Chen Na blushed and returned to her work. Meanwhile, Shen received a phone call from Manhwa. She asked him if he had time to walk around the sports field. Shen teasingly asked, just walk? Or is there something more interesting? Manhwa, embarrassed, told him they couldn't do anything like that. She was on her period. Hearing this, Shen realized that was why she hadn't come to see him the past few days. Manhwa shyly said that if he really wanted, it wasn't totally impossible. Shen adjusted his pants and told her, your health comes first. Don't say that. Wait for me. I'll come get you at the dorm. Sometime later, he arrived at the girls' dormitory. Upon seeing him, Manhwa ran up and hugged him tightly. Shen, however, reminded her to take care of herself these days. He said he could wait, but her health came first. She kissed Shen on the cheek and asked him about their relationship. She wanted to clarify things. What exactly are we now? They had already done what couples do, and more. Every woman wants commitment. For Shen, however, that question was dangerous. But his affection for Manhwa had grown, and he genuinely liked her. So he told her, of course we're a couple. Manhwa smiled excitedly and declared, from today on, I'm the only girlfriend you have. But the other girls he had, they weren't called girlfriends. They were called honey baby, darling, sweetie. Since Shen was being so good to her, Manhwa decided she would give him a nice reward in a few days. Shen also told Manhwa that he would take her to buy a big gift this weekend, whether she wanted a car or a house. Manhwa was surprised and couldn't believe he wanted to buy her a house and a car. But she told him it was too much for her. Bags and makeup would be enough. However, Shen told her not to worry about the money. Since she was always at school now, she wouldn't use a car much anyway. So he decided to gift her a house first and buy the car when she needed it. Manhwa now liked hounds, and he decided to gift her a house first and buy the car when she needed it. Manhwa smiled and agreed with him. Then Shen walked her back to the dorm, reminding her to rest more during her period. The next day, Shen had to go to Qingzhou Lake to receive a mysterious property from the system. While he was on his way, Liu Menglu called and asked him to come to the gym. Shen smiled and told her he had some work to do today, but he'd come when he was free. Liu Menglu smiled to herself, thinking, with that tone he already sees me as family. Hey, let's see how many more days you can last. Just as she was talking to Shen, Miss Zhou suddenly called out to her from behind. Zhao, who was also Shen's ex-girlfriend, though Liu Menglu didn't know that, noticed how happy Liu Menglu looked. She asked her why she was so cheerful so early in the morning. Liu Menglu brushed it off, saying it was nothing. She had just been talking to a friend and found it really funny. But Monsieur kept pressing her for the truth. Finally, pressured by Zhou, Liu Menglu admitted, a friend of mine just got a super generous sugar daddy who gifted her a 3 million yuan apartment. Shocked, Zhou couldn't believe it. He bought a 3 million apartment just like that? He must have at least tens of millions. Then she asked, with that kind of money, that sugar daddy must be pretty old, right? But Zhou quickly added, even if he's old, it's worth it. She complained about her own boyfriend. That fool Ho Jun is getting stingier by the day, wants to sleep with me, but won't spend a dime. Jealous, she muttered. I also want a sugar daddy like that, who can buy me a 3 million apartment without any hesitation. But Liu Menglu told Zhou that the guy was barely in his 20s. He was even younger than her friend Upon. Hearing this, Zhou thought, if he's that young, he's probably some ugly guy. However, to her surprise, Liu Menglu told her that he was young, pretty handsome and tall too. Hearing this, Zhou asked Coach Liu, is your friend very pretty? To snag a guy like that, she must be drop-dead gorgeous. Liu Menglu replied that both of them were pretty similar, each with their own charm. Upon hearing this, Zhou realized that if her friend looked like Lu Menglu, no wonder men fell for her. Just then, she received a message from Shen, telling her he was heading to Qingzhou Lake to receive the property. Lu Menglu excitedly asked Shen if he was going alone, and whether he wanted her to come along. Shen replied that he was going alone, but if she was free, she could come with him. Upon hearing that, Lu Menglu quickly sent him her location and told him to come pick her up at the fitness center. Seeing Liu Menglu even happier than before, Zhou asked, "What other good news do you have that's making you this excited?" Liu Menglu apologized and told her she'd have to cancel their session today and would refund her double. She explained, "The sugar daddy I mentioned just asked me to join him to receive a property at Qingzhou Lake." Zhou was stunned. She remembered Qingzhou Lake as that luxury complex, one of the most exclusive areas around. But suddenly, something clicked in her mind. Wait, wasn't that sugar daddy supposed to be her friends? Then why is he calling Liu Menglu to receive the property? She finally got it, just like she had expected from Coach Lu. She even stole her friend's man. However, she knows that if it were her with a man like that, she would probably do the same. As Liu Menglu was going outside to meet Shen, suddenly one of the trainers, Han Li Hai, who, like Liu Menglu, asked her where she was going and reminded her that she had class later. However, Liu Menglu completely ignored him and didn't want to talk to him. A moment later, Shen arrived in front of Liu Menglu's training center to pick her up. However, Zhao and Han Li Hai were watching this from inside. Han Li Hai couldn't believe that a guy who drives an M9 could win over Menglu, when not even the guy with the G-class could do it. Zhou, who was standing beside him, told him not to judge the guy by his car. This guy bought his girlfriend a $3 million apartment without blinking. Han Li Hai, shocked, asked Zhou if she was joking. $3 million? That's a year's worth of his work earnings. But before Zhou could say anything, she noticed that the guy inside the car looked somewhat familiar to her. What she was thinking at first was right. He was her ex-boyfriend, Shen. Shocked, she couldn't believe the tall, handsome, young, and wealthy guy Coach Lu talked about was Shen Yan. Her ex-boyfriend, who had become a millionaire, and she was the one who dumped him just 2 weeks ago after finding out that his family went bankrupt. Zhou couldn't believe she actually gave up a chance to be with him instead of Bao Jun. Just then, she received a message from Bao Jun telling her that he had some information. Zhou Min was furious, thinking, who does he think he is? He always tries to skip the formalities and get straight to the point. Do I look that cheap to him? Bao Jun asked Zhou Min to come to his place tonight. However, Zhou rejected him. Confused and surprised, Bao Jun asked Zhou Min if she was really herself, but she blocked him. Furious, Bao Jun couldn't believe she blocked him just like that. He didn't even know what the heck had happened. Regretting her decision, Zhou Min wondered if she still had a shot with Shen to get back together. She stayed up late, trained like hell, and now he turns out to be that good? Coach Lu, the girls from the university, and her bestie, no doubt they were all beautiful, but if she joined in too, wouldn't that be too much? Meanwhile, in Shen's car, Liu Menglu was impressed by how huge Shen's car was. With a car like this, he could totally go off-road camping anytime. And when there was a hot girl with curves sitting in his passenger seat, no way! His mind wasn't going places, she thought. Shen smiled and told her that he didn't usually think about it, but off-roading sounded nice and he would try it somewhere next time. Liu Menglu looked at him and said, "You really don't play by the rules." Shen smiled and asked, "What would that mean?" Then he asked Liu Menglu, "How about I say it like this? Coach Lu, I want to play ball." Liu Menglu smiled and pinched Shen's shoulder, saying he was such a tease. 30 minutes later, they both arrived at Shen went inside and told the salesperson that he was there to finalize the house contract. The real estate agent, Guan Shufeng, welcomed Shen and asked if he would like to see the house first or review the contract. But Shen told her to just sign the contract directly. He'd view the house afterward. Guan Shufeng nodded and gave Shen all the house documents to sign and added, "If you want, I can also help make the tone smoother or more natural." Guan Shufeng accompanied Shen and Liu Menglu and suggested they review the house. While on the way to see the house, Guan Shufeng noticed that Mr. Shen and the lady clearly didn't look like a couple, but compared to her, that woman's figure was just unfair. She couldn't believe how huge the difference between women could be. Women like her didn't need skills, just their looks and curves were enough to make men fall head over heels and willingly buy them houses. She was so envious. But she knew ordinary girls like her didn't get those chances. A moment later, they arrived at the house, and Liu Menglu was amazed at how gorgeous the place was. The life of rich people was like a dream to everyone like her, And someday, she also wanted to live in a place like this. To achieve that, she knew she had to lock Shen down. Guan Shufeng then explained the details about the house to Shen. The villa's area was 610 square meters, but including the garden and facilities, it could reach 2,000 square meters. It was still bare, so he could freely design and decorate it. Liu Menglu was also impressed and couldn't believe how big the villa was. Just as Shen was amazed, the house system suddenly gave him a notification. The system congratulated him on acquiring his first home and reminded him that a perfect life needed not just property, but uniquely styled interior decoration. So, the system gave him 20 million yuan in exclusive renovation funds to renovate and modify his house. Shen was shocked. He couldn't believe the system was serious, using 20 million won to renovate a house worth just over 10 million? But he couldn't deny whatever the system said, he could only obey. So he asked Miss Guan if she knew any good renovation companies. Miss Guan nodded and told him that there were several top renovation companies in Star City with great reputations that their company knew. She said she would send Shen their contact info later. There wasn't much to see in a bare-bones house anyway, so Shu told Ms. Guan that was enough. However, Liu Menglu was excited and asked Shen if she could record a video and post it on QuickSound. Shen agreed, but told her not to show his face. Liu Menglu teased him, saying a guy like him would definitely beat other influencers if he posted edited pics of himself online. Curious, Shen asked Liu Menglu how many followers she had on QuickSound. Liu Menglu smiled and said she had over 50,000 followers. Shen asked if she had a lot of local fans. Liu Menglu nodded and told him most of them were local. She teasingly asked if he was trying to sneak a peek at her videos. Shen smiled and said, if 50,000 other men have already seen them, what difference does it make if I do? Liu Menglu got closer and told him he was not like them. And we only get to see the regular version. You, on the other hand, get the premium custom edition. Shen excitedly asked Liu Menglu to send him her QuickSound account later. I've got a bar review video coming up. If you want, you can try filming with me. Liu Menglu was surprised to find out Shen had a review channel too. She quickly sent her QuickSound account to him. After that, Shen asked Liu Menglu if he should drive her back to the gym now or if she wanted to go somewhere else. Liu Menglu smiled and said, where else would I go? Got something in mind? Shen teasingly said they were going to go play ball. However, Liu Menglu told him to keep dreaming. Men are all the same. Yesterday in that kind of place, he dared to hit on my bestie, and now he's still trying to act all smug with me? Upon hearing this, Shen stopped the car instantly and told Liu Menglu, you dare bring up yesterday, when I haven't even done anything to you yet? He told her, since you care so much about her, why don't you take her place? Liu Menglu was surprised and wondered if he was serious or joking. However, she knew if a woman gave herself up too quickly, she'd come off as cheap, and men wouldn't treasure her. The harder Shen Yuan found it to get her, the more he'd want her, and the more he'd invest in her. That's why she was stringing him along, giving him a little taste each day, so after he worked so hard to get her, he'd treasure her and submit completely to her. She said nothing and quickly got out of the car, said goodbye to him, and asked him to drop by the gym sometime. Shen also said goodbye to her and hoped they would shoot sometime. Liu Menglu, excited, went back into the gym, thrilled to finally get what she wanted. However, as she entered the gym manager, Huang Mingbo, called her and asked why she had skipped her private client session that morning, which was a violation of contract. Liu Menglu, confused, told manager Huang that she had something personal to take care of last minute, so she had informed Miss Zhou and said she would refund double for the session. But manager Huang told her that although she may have agreed to refund Miss Zhou double for the session, Miss Zhou still lodged a formal complaint. Liu Menglu was confused and wondered why Ms. Zhao suddenly came after her, but she guessed manager Huang had something on her now. First he scolded her as the manager, then switched to a wise guy tone, acting like he was advising her. Did he think that was enough to win her over? But for her, a man like that who thinks he can conquer her surely wasn't her type. So, she thanked manager Huang and excused herself, saying that if there was nothing else, she would get back to work. But manager Huang told her it was almost noon and she had no sessions, so he invited Liu Menglu to eat together. She refused, telling him she had brought her own lunch and didn't consume things with too much exposure. Thinking, I'm a coach inside and out, doing even the boss's job, and you think you can pressure me? I'm a woman headed for the show's luxury mansion. Trash like him can't even compare to my dog.